Go off. Can you set up a little bit here in the restream? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 214 of Salvaggio and Cratty here for you again another Wednesday night, November 6th, 7 p.m. on the dot. I say this a lot, but we've got a pretty loaded show tonight. We'll start as usual with Patriots, NFL, and some Bruins stuff. And then we'll shift to a little bit of Red Sox, a little bit of Celtics. It's hard when the Celtics are playing so good to just rehash the whole thing at the same thing every week, but we have some additional topics. So that's why we're getting back into some Celtics talk. Nobody wants to hear the fact they're really good still. They're really good still. They bunch of teams to death every week. That gets a little repetitive, and we all know that's happening if we're watching and following the team. The Red Sox, the offseason scuttlebutt is getting going a little bit. We'll see what happens and what doesn't. The speculation has started. And, of course, like I said, we'll start with football and hockey to get the fun going. Ryan, how are you? Wednesday night, back here again. And the Patriots lost, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Patriots lost, and I think it's safe to say it was a massive step back again for the organization this week. We were maybe building a little bit of something. I mean, there was some good. Obviously, Drake May continues to be pretty much the entire team, but I think you could also take that as a negative, especially just watching the offense try to go out there and keep pace with the Tennessee Titans, which is kind of gross to say because, as we knew going into this game, the Titans were probably just as bad as the Patriots, if not worse, when it came to the offensive side of the ball. We gave the stats last week. I think the Titans were pretty much dead last or pretty close to dead last. It was probably 30, 32 and 31 when it came to offensive rankings. But yeah, the Patriots get run all over again by Tony Pollard. Nothing against him. But that's a guy I feel like you should be able to stop if you're the Patriots, or if you're a little better off. The offensive line was a sieve again this week. We thought last couple of weeks there had been some improvements there, but the Patriots, for whatever reason, decide to shuffle the lineup again, and things don't work out. Shocking, to say the least. And then, of course, some people have made notes of the coaching decisions late in that game not to go for it. We'll kind of keep that discussion to the end of the studs and duds. Yeah, but just when you thought maybe the Patriots were starting to turn a little bit of a corner, not getting a cupcake game this week or last week because there are no cupcakes when you're as bad as the Patriots are. But another game similar to the Jaguars game, similar to the Dolphins game, you thought they may have should have come out with a win, and of course they did not because they seem to be their own worst enemy.
Yeah, developing a little bit of a theme, and I like that you brought up the Jaguars, like winnable games that you unfortunately don't. Yeah, that's just reality. It's funny to think of like the Titans in a similar bracket to the Patriots offensively when they have a guy like Calvin Ridley, and the Patriots have guys that are rookies and veterans that don't always do a lot. So it's a tale of two very different teams, but teams in similar brackets in terms of league rankings and offense, depending on where you look. But speaking of one Drake May, Ryan, he gets your studs category started off for us here.
Yeah, he's my number three stud. I really couldn't put him any higher than that because if I'm being honest, we'll put this in the rookie mistake category. The scoring pains you'll kind of live with these. But the two interceptions from Drake May, not great, especially the last one. I know if you watch that video, some people will say, and probably rightfully so, Kendrick Bourne does fall down in that, and his defender kind of peels off and ends up in the double coverage on Booty for the game-ending interception. Those aren't great. Everything else was for Drake May, 29 of 41, 206 yards, a touchdown. Obviously, the touchdown was one of the more electric plays we've seen the Patriots have in quite some time. And again, just the full athleticism, and the package that Drake May has to offer. So again, another great game from him. 8 rushes and 95 yards as well. We talked about this last week. It's becoming a problem that Drake May is your best runner on the team because the running backs have kind of given you nothing the last few weeks. Outside, obviously, Stevenson with the receiving touchdown, but the run game was not good in this game. Drake May, very surprised he was as active in the run game as he was coming off of the concussion. A couple of those runs, a little gutsy here and there, but Drake May was good again in this game. And again, I'm going to take the 2 interceptions as rookie mistakes. Yeah, you don't like to see him in those spots, but it's the growing pains you kind of deal with. And again, if it means you get a cool touchdown every once in a while and gives you something to watch, I think you might take that pay off when the team around him is just as bad as it is, and they're probably going to lose more games than win games.
Yeah, he is the offense. I didn't like the timing of Mayo saying like essentially like it's not a good thing if your quarterback is the best, like the like pinnacle of your rushing game, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you say that like a couple days later, but like to shine light on that particular point right
Right
after
away,
your
yeah.
rookie quarterback like gives you every chance to win and like any chance to win,
Mm-hmm.
that sucked. I really didn't like the timing of that. Um, and I know he doesn't mean it in a way like, it's in like as like a negative reflection on Drake May, of course, but like, dude, like he just carried the team on the back and uh carried the team on his back, and like that's one of your takeaways. That's something I don't know. I didn't like the
Right.
timing of it. I didn't like bringing it up. Like I also personally like when the quarterback almost runs for 100 yards. Sure, there were some that were a little dicey those runs, but he took contact well. It's not like he's going to a mode or Anthony Richardson mode and getting himself hurt
Mm-hmm.
on plays like that. Unfortunately, he did get banged up in the Jets game, but that was partially on the player himself, Sherwood, who got fined. I don't think it was a dirty hit, but he got fined, and maybe rightfully so. I'm not really going to get into a debate on it, but
Yeah.
the
Yep.
touchdown was incredible. Um, it was a weird feeling because like I was like, this can only last so long. Something weird, something like disappointing is going to happen, just because like not like pessimism, but like he's just been running around for so long. Like, how does he make a play if
Mm-hmm.
nobody's gotten open to this point? But like then there was the part of me I was like, the way he's playing, I was like, oh, what if he just does something crazy? And he did.
Pull something out of his
Um,
ass. Yeah.
yeah, and
Keep.
I was a huge fan of how he played outside of the picks, like you said. The
Mm-hmm.
first one was just really rough. Like that one just pretty much entirely on him. And then the second one is good work by the safety. I also look at it from the standpoint of like he pro in his mind he does that I think because he didn't like any of the other options. Like
Mm-hmm.
when he
Could
threw the
see it.
ball,
Yeah.
he didn't know the other defensive player was going to come in, so he's like, okay, Booty's got my best chance. I feel as of being open and making a play. I have to throw it to him versus like forcing something that could get picked down low or
Mm-hmm.
just getting just be like a normal incompletion. Like he just took the shot at a certain point. But the Bourne thing was really unfortunate. Screwed things up for sure. Really put like an unexpected audible on that for like a live audible for the defensive player, and it was not great. It was a disappointing ending. Um, but overall, I mean, he was the whole offense. He's my number two stud, so that kind of like goes into my spiel. Um, as I ramble on and gush about Drake May because he's great and he's the
Mm-hmm.
whole team. I really like how he played overall. The composure is still there. Just smart, decisive. The mobility is really impressive, and it's just very exciting to have a player like him.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's good you bring up the smarts thing because something we didn't even mention about again just how great the touchdown play was is the smarts to know that after you watch the replay of it to realize that Hunter Henry obviously and this has been talked about over the last couple of days took
Yes.
himself out of the play and I think I texted you after seeing that or I sent you the clip and I was like my dumb ass seeing that would have just seen Hunter Henry wide open in the back of the end zone and be like oh he's just standing there no one's on him I'm gonna score a touchdown here so for Drake May to while all the chaos is going on like you said he's running around scrambling for his life to see that and know like I can't he's not an option so now you're basically playing 11 on 10 again like you said goes into the smarts of him and how quickly that has developed has been obviously great to see from a guy that obviously had some questions about that coming into the league everyone obviously talked about the footwork not from a mental capability or whatever it may be but obviously with a rookie you're going to have again these growing pains and these questions and he's answered pretty much all of them so far I think you can't be mad about him with how this team has performed so far.
Yeah, and with the footwork concerns, like looks like it was fixable or just not really
Pretty
that
quickly
much of a
too, yeah.
concern. Like he's very athletic.
Hmm.
That's with the football player as intelligent as him. Um, he's gonna figure out how to make his feet an asset. So,
Absolutely.
um, my number three stud was a guy you talked about a little bit, Hunter Henry. How can you not have him in the studs category? Just super consistent. Like it's like the same thing every week. Steady Eddie, reliable. Exactly what you hope for with Hunter Henry. I don't think there's much more to add, and I think a lot of people probably didn't pick up on him taking himself out of the play until after the game, and that was just another smart play. And yeah, I mean it's huge to have someone like him, and even Hooper. Like Hooper had some rough moments earlier on in the season, but like Hooper's become like a reliable second fiddle to him, like not quite on Henry's level, but like you'll get a timely catch out of Hooper every once in a while. It won't be for long, but I really like how the tight end position has been set up to be something for Drake to lean on because he can make a lot happen with his brain and his skills, but you still do need guys like that. As your team is you're trying to establish yourself in this team, and with the guys around you, it helps to have veterans instead of just all these rookies, some of them and younger players who are struggling. So yeah, I mean he's a must-have guy on this team right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you could argue he is your offenses along with Drake May because he's pretty much good for 5+ catches. It seems like in at least 8 to 10 targets these last couple weeks. Spoiler alert: he was my number one. All the same reasons that you had. He's become, like you said, when we talked about this last week, your most reliable option, and a guy that it's good to see, like you said, Drake May lean on. And I like Hooper too. He's been good. It's kind of crazy that it took this long for the Patriots to finally start to utilize, not obviously to the degree of days of old, but the two tight end set again are just utilizing both tight ends in different ways has been good to see as well.
Even Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, he got in. I don't know if he did anything in this game.
One
I think
catch from
maybe
1 yard, but
oh,
hey,
did he? Okay, I know he threw a
pulse.
block at one point on one of the runs that really didn't go anywhere. But
also, speaking of blocking, now you bring that up, Ramondre Stevenson, not the best stat sheet game for like yards per catch, yards per game. Yards per catch was better, of course. He went like 10 for 16, 2 touchdowns. I forget what play it was, but he had a great first block and then the lead block. I think it was in the third or fourth quarter towards the right sideline. Yep. You know the play I'm talking about?
Yes.
Just wanted to shout that out. I was like, that's good fundamental football. I think it might have been in overtime. It was late, but I
maybe it
love
was
that.
one of me. I know exactly what play because I was joking about it with my dad where I'm like, and again, shows the smarts of Drake May to just take off and not try to throw the ball to Stevenson, who he's obviously falling right behind, not Stevenson not realizing it again that May was right behind him. So I exactly know the play you're talking about. And yeah, good on Stevenson for that. I think that maybe might have saved him from being on the duds list. Spoiler alert, because again, not the greatest stat line from him. Hunter Henry, like I said, was my number one. I'll get my number two out of the way because we had differing players when it comes to where we had them. But Marcus Jones, my number two. The cornerback and the punt returner this week. Obviously, had him on the dud side of things as the cornerback last week. But 2 returns, 69 yards. Nice there for Marcus Jones. Along with 44 and an average of 34.5. Was 0 for 2 in coverage stats, so he bounced back after a rough week last week against the Jets. And again, had a nice punt return that helped the Patriots get to a scoring drive. I'm kind of curious, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this too, because I've heard this discussion kind of come up a little bit of late. Any thoughts on if or maybe when the Patriots would put him back? Because obviously we saw him in his rookie year. He played a little bit on offense, had some explosive plays. Is this a guy maybe they could utilize in the offense just to get the ball rolling a little bit? Because I feel like they could definitely use his speed. And again, we've seen him have success in the offense before.
Yeah, like we've seen him in the offense. There's really a lot you could do. You could use him in jet sweeps. If you have him on the offensive side of the ball, you might think, oh, they're playing. If you're on the defense, like, oh, they're planning on using Jones here, or he could just be a decoy, like throw people off a little bit.
True. Yep.
But like he's small and quick enough where like you can just have him out of the backfield. Maybe like I don't know if they won't do that. I don't think, but like you have options with Marcus Jones, and like in a season like this, is it really that crazy to try something? I don't think so.
No, absolutely not.
Especially when he pops off like this with the punt returning he showed. He's small, scrappy, and quick. Like and hey, when certain players you might be getting off IR come back soon, like the Wallaces, the Strangers, and the Barmores of the world that seem to be getting closer and closer. You're gonna have to cut bait with a receiver or two at this rate. She didn't trade any. You didn't make any trades outside of the Uche trade last week. You didn't make any on deadline day or leading up to it. Like they're gonna cut a receiver, so that gives another opportunity for like maybe a little Marcus Jones trickery. Maybe they just implement him in. Maybe he's just a punt returner. I'm cool with that too, but I don't know. They could get a little creative. Like what's there to lose at this point? He's not going to become a focal point. Like. And they don't have to do anything. not like beating the drum or anything, but why not?
Yeah, change it
Fuck
up a
around
little
a little
bit.
bit.
See if it
Fuck
works.
around.
Yeah. He can't be worse than what you're getting right now at the receiving position. I know that.
Yeah, and another guy I'm wondering about is Javon Baker too, because like he's I think had like 10 snaps I saw total now, but he
Mhm.
did have that one play where I think Drake checked down maybe because of pressure, and Javon Baker like actually got really wide open deep, and Drake didn't see it because he had to check down. But I don't know, like at this rate, I'm down to see a little more Javon Baker. I'm down to see maybe some fun to be had with adding Marcus Jones in on the offense.
For sure. I'm right there with you.
It's a weird position to be in, but it's where we are. So
Yep.
why not?
So yeah, like I said, my number one, Hunter Henry. You had him as your number three. You had Drake May as well. So who was your number one stud from this game?
My number one is Jelani Tavai, a guy I beat the drum for. 6 tackles, 5 assists, 11 total, a tackle for loss, a pass deflection, and a red zone interception on the deflection from Chig Okonkwo, who like everyone was all over. Jelani Tavai gets the pick. Um, he had an early tackle for loss that was timely. He was all over the place, making plays, making tackles, in the pass deflection. So, you need guys like him. We say it about like one or two guys on defense every week. Like you need someone to step up when your personnel isn't great. So to have a guy you can rely on to do that more often than not, like Jelani Tavai, is good and worth highlighting. I think.
Yeah, and I think he's been good the last couple of weeks, which is obviously good to see. Not to use good too much, but a guy that was kind of struggling at the start of the year had I think found himself in the duds list a couple of times. Whether it was really not being existent out there, or having a couple of just really rough games. So really good to see Tavai, a guy that obviously needs to be leaned on pretty heavily when you're as banged up as you are and just the lack of talent. A guy you can kind of like Hunter Henry rely on week after week. Is good to see on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely.
Yep. On to the dud side of things, pretty even keel with this one. I think we have the same three, just in a different order.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
how you could go with like anyone else really.
yeah, I mean, looking at the stat
This three.
sheet, yeah, it's pretty obvious. I'll start. My number three was the right guard, Layden Robinson, in this game. I had a sack allowed and a holding penalty. Only played 21 snaps, and that was 30% of the offensive snaps. So was benched at one point. He got taken to school in this game. There were a couple of guys that really struggled. The next one pretty obvious too if you watch the game. But Jeffrey Simmons was all over the field. Was blowing by guys. Layden Robinson was one of those guys, so that's why I have him as the number three.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for a tweet about Mike and Wendy real quick. It was about them moving him and Robinson around, but um yeah, Jalen Polk stinks.
Yes, he does. He is your number three.
He's your number three. Sorry, that was on
No.
me. I got distracted. See, that's why I looked at the Layden Robinson tweet. I looked at Layden Robinson, and then I looked for the Mike Onwenu thing to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm in the outline and I'm looking at Polk, not realizing it's mine. So that's on me.
Yep.
Because I was looking at my section, of course. But yeah, it was tough for Layden Robinson. They did move him and Mike Onwenu around on the line, which is of course what I'm referring to. Wanted to mention that as Andrew Callahan had noticed here, the worst decision IMO was moving Mike Onwenu off right guard and starting rookie guard Layden Robinson versus Jeffrey Simmons. Simmons is a beast, but beat Robinson for a pressure, holding penalty, and an uncalled hold all on the first drive, and they benched him to put Onwenu at right guard at halftime. So, yeah, I mean these games are going to happen for a guy like Robinson. He had a few flashes at times earlier in the season, but like it just is what it is. He's a mid
Mm-hmm.
round guard prospect. Um, these guys need time to develop and grow. So the
Absolutely.
sack and the holding penalty were tough, and getting benched is even worse. So that's not great. But we move on. Hopefully he'll move on and rebound from it. My number three dud was Jalen Polk.
He sucks.
Yeah,
Just flat out, he
it just
sucks.
isn't getting
Like,
better. Just
nope.
flat out sucks, as you said. Um, I put him at three because he only got 9 snaps, but like he just like it's all a big bundle of shit lately.
Mm-hmm.
So he belongs in here to some extent. And he had the hold and illegal shifts, like on 9 snaps, is pretty nuts.
Yep.
Um,
Keep that in
it's
mind.
just like
Two penalties on 9 snaps played.
But like
Like,
it's just so weird too, because like he talks himself up, which can obviously always bite you in the back for any player, but like pretty intelligent football player and pretty reliable football player at Washington, and he just hasn't been that at all. He had the one touchdown against the Seahawks in week 2. And you're like, okay, there we go. Like, let's build on this. Nothing since. Like, really nothing since. Um, just digging a deeper hole for himself.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive. The only really impressive thing he's done on the field is it amazes me how, like you said, it's not getting better. It's getting worse week to week. And that's the impressive thing. Is just how are you going to one up yourself with how bad you are? And again, like I think the Patriots are maybe starting to figure things out. Like you said, they don't trade a receiver, so they have plenty of options now. Again, they're not great options. But maybe after this week, like you said, just 9 snaps played on offense. I think it might have been the worst for any Patriots pass catcher. I forgot to look that up. But maybe now the Patriots are starting to realize, like, hey, we need to sit this kid down, whether he thinks he's the greatest or not, because clearly something is wrong. Whether it's a mental thing, maybe it's a physical thing, whatever it is, you got to take him out of the lineup and try to get his head screwed back on right.
Oh,
Because
but
it's
did you see Gerard Mayo said he's over the mental thing?
out of the
He said
blue.
that today.
Oh, I must have missed that because
Even
I don't.
though, even though Jalen Polk said there was no mental thing. So who's right and who's wrong?
Okay, it's
Who's just
big
saying stuff? I don't
biggest
know.
mystery. I think they both might be
What
talking out
if
of their you know what's.
what if they did flat out bench Jalen Polk and Javon Baker came in and had like 6 catches? That'd
That
be
would be
something.
nice. You'd get
Um,
something out of this wide
because hey,
receiver group.
he has struggled to run routes and practice apparently and earn his keep on this team so far, earn a role. But hey, man, he was a stud recruit coming out of high school, former Bama commit, lots of talent, jump ball, contested catch ability, was a stud at UCF. I got faith in Javon Baker still. It's not over.
That makes me worried about Alabama's recruiting. So how are you a former Alabama recruit? You know how to run routes. Like
Yeah, I
that's
don't know,
mind blowing.
man.
If I
I
was
don't,
anybody at Alabama, I'd be a little worried about that getting back to you. What's worse, a receiver that can't catch or a receiver that can't run routes? Do you think?
receiver
What
that
would you
can't
rather?
catch.
Okay,
Receiver that can't catch
yeah,
for
I'm right
sure.
there with you. Yep, right there with you.
Um, my number 2 dud was Leda Robinson. So yeah,
Okay,
that is kind of
and
summarized
Jalen Polk was my number one because again, how do
amongst
you
my
have
goof.
2 penalties on 9 snaps? That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's something. That's a new one for him.
Yeah, it's just
New one,
mind
a
blowing.
real.
Number 2, I think for the both of us, right? You had no, no, he was your number 1.
I
He
had
was
number
my number
one.
2. Ben Brown. This one stings a little bit because he had been really, really good. Again, was kind of the one of the nicer stories of the season for the Patriots. Just kind of finding Ben Brown off the scrap heap pretty much this year. Have been good as kind of the third string or fill in center. But he was not good in this game. He was again one of those guys that was just destroyed by Jeffrey Simmons all afternoon. Sack and 2 holding penalties, so that's why he gets the nod ahead of Leighton Robinson. Gets the extra holding penalty in there. One of the holds came on a 5-yard Drake May scramble, and the other negated one of the bigger plays of the game, or what would have been one of the bigger plays of the game if it stood, the 22-yard completion to Kendrick Bourne. It takes away from Kendrick Bourne, who has done nothing as well. Had a couple of moments in this game where he maybe looked like a little bit like himself.
Yep.
This would have been one of those moments if Brown did not commit the second hold. Again, he falls into the same boat as Robinson. You put him in a crappy situation. You're down to kind of your last leg of the position, so you don't want to knock him too much. And again, he's been one of the better and more consistent guys on this offensive line. So that's all I got to say about Ben Brown. You hope it's a game he can bounce back from. And again, just going up against a really solid player like Simmons, I feel like a lot of guys are going to struggle.
Yeah. Sneeze.
Bless you, question mark? Oh, oh, maybe.
It's gone.
All
It's
right.
gone. All right. Yeah. Great
That,
podcasting.
that
Thank
looked
you,
like an
nose and
adventure getting to
body.
that.
Anywho, turnstile. Consistent term. He was the turnstile this week. Not great. Jeffrey Simmons good at football. Ben Brown did not look good at football as a result of Jeffrey Simmons. Number 1 dud for me. 2 holding penalties is quite rough, especially when they negate some nice plays. Tough. Like it was going to happen at some point. This is a scrap heap offensive line. Ben Brown was bound to find himself in this territory at some point, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And that is all for studs and duds. Biggest takeaways from this game. We kind of talked about the first one, Drake May being the entire offense. That's a huge problem. We know that. We talked about the offensive line taking a massive step back, and something you alluded to of I don't know why they decided to switch up the offensive line in this game and move some guys around, like you said, take Onwenu out of the right guard position where he's been very good this year. You're just asking for recipe for disaster at that point. The other thing I wanted to talk about though, because like I said at the top of the show, this is kind of caught some talking points of late. It's maybe alluded to again or gone into the discussion of the coaching staff's ability. What were your thoughts, if you had any, in the moment or coming away from this game? They're not going for two at the end of the game. Obviously, the Patriots don't get the coin toss, give up the field goal, and then they also, as we know, the Drake May interception. So where are you at on that decision?
I was okay with them up two.
So was I. Like I didn't in the moment have really any.
The
Maybe that's
Patriots
crazy
always
to say because they couldn't
Drake
stop the
May
Titans, but
Drake May instills enough confidence to have the confidence instills enough confidence in you if you believe in him to, which I don't know why you wouldn't at this point, to make a play and win the game. But like we're talking about the Patriots here. Like that's something you do if you're the Chiefs or the Lions. Like the Patriots of the world shouldn't go for the kill shot there and try and prevent overtime and get the win. I'm always taking overtime with this team. It's just really that simple. I didn't really overthink it too much. And yeah, like in retrospect, you obviously say, maybe they should have, but I don't know. It was just unfortunate. Like it's also different when you lose on like a slip up by Kendrick Bourne.
yeah, yep.
Might have been Drake May's best / only option. Took a shot. Didn't go as planned. Unfortunate, but you're not thinking about hypotheticals like that super specifically. When you're trying to just tie the game and send it to overtime, you're just trying to, get to overtime and win the football game, obviously. Yeah, didn't go their way.
Fair. I think there's more reason to be pissed off at Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers for not doing it last night against the Chiefs than the Patriots not doing it against the
See, I missed that.
the Titans.
I could not. I was sleepy last night.
Similar situation. Like had a touchdown late in the game, had a chance to go for the kill shot and knock off the undefeated Chiefs. They took the field goal. Did you see Baker Mayfield's reaction on Twitter at least of the coin toss? I'll tell you then. As soon as the coin went up and I think he called tails. It was heads. He did the old like, you got to be shitting me. Like he knew right away that as soon as the Chiefs won the coin toss, they were getting the ball obviously and walking right down the field. That's exactly what they did. And the Buccaneers screwed themselves by by kicking the field goal or the extra point at the end of regulation, and not again going for the kill shot, which should have been to try to knock off the undefeated Chiefs. The thing for the Patriots too, for me, obviously, I think at that point when they scored the touchdown, did not have any timeouts left, so it's not something you can really, if you didn't like the look, call a timeout and kind of go back and see if you decided to go for two. So that obviously goes into the poor decisions during the game, and I think one of their timeouts had to be burned, not having enough guys on the field on a punt return. So that again just kind of goes to show the level of the Patriots coaching staff right now. So I'm in the same boat you are. Like, even if they line up to go for two, how much faith do you have in this team to actually pull something like that off after you just watched Drake May, not, dance around is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Go crazy for 20 seconds or whatever it was, and then, just kind of throw something out of his ass again, not to take away from the play, but there was a little bit of luck involved. I think we can all kind of agree on that. So I don't know. In the moment, I really didn't have a thought coming away from it afterwards, stewing on it a little bit. I'm in the mindset like I don't know if I trust this team to be able to run a play to get the 2-point conversion off and get that for the win. So not to say I like the chances in overtime because I mean they were getting run all over all game long and that continued in overtime. But I'm with you with the where they are now until they can prove that they're a competent and cohesive thing on offense, which they're not. I'll kick the extra point and try to, get lucky in overtime, get the ball first, and maybe try to win it that way. Because again, I don't have enough confidence in the team to be able to convert a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, and there's also the argument too, like you're playing the Titans, like you have to have some faith in your ability to beat them in overtime.
Exactly.
Which also lends itself to the fact on the other side, like, oh, it's the Titans, let's just try and beat them now. Like
Yeah.
There's a case that we can beat this team. Then there's also the aspect like maybe you want the Patriots to do that more in a situation if they're in that situation against a good team. Like, oh, we don't want to go to overtime against this team. Let's try and win it now. even with the risks associated with trying such a thing against a good team or bad team. In this case, talking about the good side of it, if you're playing like a top tier opponent, which they weren't, Titans weren't, but I want to go back quickly to like what you said about similarities to the Jaguars game, like when not winning a game you could have,
Yep.
and probably should have. It got to a point in the Jaguars game where they did the same thing, running Tank Bigsby all over you.
Yep.
And then the Titans did the same thing with Tony Pollard, like just running over and over again. Patriots couldn't stop it. Like minimum 3 yards, 3 yard carries every single time. Like just couldn't get a stop. This is also a punter game. Stonehouse is a savant of a punter, and Behringer had that one goof in the punting game.
That he
So
had, yeah.
So
Not great.
that's just another thing. Hopefully Behringer can be a Stonehouse someday, and he is pretty good. I'm not taking anything away from him, but that was a tough moment for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
A tough
One
kick.
of those ones you hope to bounce back from, and I feel like you have confidence that he will. Because again, we make the joke plenty of times that the punter and the kicker might be two of your better players on the team entirely.
Yep.
Which is not great.
Well, life. Shall we touch on some trades quick?
Sure. I think that's pretty timely, seeing that was yesterday, a couple days ago.
It was yesterday. Last trade of the day I saw was the one at the top here, Khalil Davis going to the 49ers from the Texans. Not really much to add there, to be honest. This one was funny. I joked that it was Tyquan Thornton when they flew it at like Jerry Jones saying like, oh, like he has a trade for wide receiver happening before the deadline today. And I said Tyquan Thornton because it's someone they mentioned like the college background, like someone they liked in college, which is what we talked about a little bit last week.
True,
Maybe someone likes the Baylor qualities, the speed, what they saw back in college. I was like, what if it's just Tyquan Thornton? Without remembering the fact that there actually was a rumor, I don't know how long ago, that the Cowboys had a little bit of interest in Tyquan Thornton. So I just did that just because like, oh, like what if this guy they want to go after is just like a guy you're taking a gamble on because he's young and falling out of favor. But it's Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo has been quite bad since putting together a nice draft eligible season a couple years ago at Ole Miss. I remember wanting him for the Patriots. Pretty glad they did not draft him with how things have gone. A little bit surprised with how things have gone. But the Cowboys got him in a 7th for a 4th. I don't really know why you give up a 4th for Jonathan Mingo. That's the guy I feel like you could have got for like a 6th round pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say when especially Devontae Adams went for what, a fit? Not Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. I figured that's who you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they must really like him, and maybe they just don't care about picks, but they should because they still have weaknesses on this team that they're gonna need to address in the draft and beyond. As we've seen, the Cowboys are 3-5. But
what is his contract situation? Do you know if I've got to is
Mingo?
Yeah, he's
on a rookie deal.
Still on a rookie deal, so still a couple more years left to control. Because I was gonna say that it's not like they didn't know that Dak is, I don't want to say done for the year, but I mean, obviously you come to find out that his injury is going to be longer than it was expected. I think a hamstring injury, if I'm remembering correctly. With Jerry Jones there, the Cowboys are never going to be sellers. I don't think there was any realistic possibility that was the case. But the fact that they add a receiver and now knowing that they have Cooper Rush as the the move just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like if there was a team that was going to stay pat, the Cowboys would have made a lot of sense if they didn't want to go down the sell route. But I mean, I guess they get a receiver for the future. We'll see how that works out for him.
That's a guy that could have used the fella that the Texans traded, a D tackle to
you would
clog up the middle a little more.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still not good.
Getting run all over. You'd think they would be adding on the defensive end. Real quick, because you mentioned Tyquan Thornton's name, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Patriots doing nothing. Because I mean, I don't know if that was discouraging or just you kind of figured they weren't going to do a whole lot. But I'd like to know what happened there. Like the last couple weeks, all we heard was teams are interested in Tyquan Thornton and KJ Osborne, and they stay here. So were teams actually interested in those two stiffs, or like? Or
are they counting on one of them getting cut?
Maybe, or do the Patriots think that? I wonder if a team was like, yeah, we'll give you a 6th round pick or 7th round pick for one of those guys, and the Patriots were dumb and like, no, we want a 5th or a 6th round pick. Like those are the type of guys where, like we talked about before, if you get a used stack of footballs offered for one of those two guys, you take that in a heartbeat. So I just found that funny that we were trying to be told that, oh, Tyquan Thornton's getting interest from teams, and KJ Osborne's gotten calls, and they do nothing. None of those guys move, and like you said, now they have a little bit of a logjam at the position, and may have to cut somebody.
Yeah, I think it's might be partially that on the Patriots side, but I bet it's more so that like teams know that one of these guys is probably going to get cut,
Fair.
and why give up an asset for him. Um, I'm a little disappointed the Patriots didn't make another move. But like I don't know. At the end of the day, even for a rebuilding team, they're going to be super late picks.
Yeah.
So like, if there was a guy like a Judon they didn't trade, we now know got them a third-round pick a few months back, and they didn't trade him, that would have been upsetting. And Judon hasn't really done a whole lot with Atlanta, so that trade's looking good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like these weren't guys you're gonna like get a ton for, even though teams were asking about Christian Gonzalez,
Yeah.
Keon White, and Kyle Duggar. I
Mhm.
guess, but I don't know why the Patriots would exactly trade him.
No, that
Godshaw,
one
I
that one
get.
surprised me when that name came up
Like
after you just extended him.
I get liking a player, but like you have to think, you must think Elliot Wolf is a complete dumbass if you think a team rebuilding is going to trade a guy that looks like a future All Pro corner. Like why
Yeah, I
in
agree.
any scenario, unless a team gave you an absolutely ballistic offer, why would they do that? Like even Keon White's a different position. You know, it's kind of his effectiveness hasn't withstood the level he was setting for himself early on in the season with a hot start. But
Mhm.
like, why would you trade him either? Like, I don't
Beats
know.
me. Yeah,
Teams are
that I,
fucking
I would
dumb.
have loved to have been a fly on the wall for the Gonzalez phone calls that came up just to see what the reaction would have been. Like those are the ones where you look at it, you're like, you're serious? This isn't a prank call, right? You're
Yeah,
seriously calling about our number one corner and probably our best player on defense? Like, yeah, we're
stupid.
gonna hang up the phone now. That's idiotic.
Yeah, let's set the rebuild back real quick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, Jesus. Tre'Davious White is a Raven now. It's a no-brainer. Like, not the player he used to be, but if you can get him along with the seventh, for a seventh, do it. The Ravens, they just need help back there, so I get it.
Yep.
I feel like they've needed help for a while, and the pieces they've added haven't quite made a huge difference. Like Kyle Hamilton has made plays, even though he had that one stinker a couple weeks ago. But like they need more. They just if they want to win a Super Bowl, they're gonna need bodies back there. So I like just adding Tre'Davious White for nothing. Preston Smith, a little bit surprised the Packers traded him, but like not really because he was in trade rumors. Because the Packers are good, but I don't really know why they traded him, but they did. And I mean, for a Steelers team that we know has guys that can get after the quarterback. This just adds to that mix. Mike Williams goes for a fifth. Why not? I guess, but like, well,
You a little upset the
I
Patriots
don't
didn't
know how much
make
they're gonna get out of Mike
maybe a
Williams.
move on him. We talked about him last week, I think.
Yeah, the Jets wouldn't trade him here. That's the thing.
That was kind of my
I think it's
mindset
that
too.
simple.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, yes and no. It is what it is. Mike Williams has struggled this year to really like do much.
Mhm.
So, Marshall Lattimore goes to the Commanders for along with the fifth for a third, a fourth, and a sixth. Not the player he once was, but like
Still a pretty
Commanders
big move.
definitely need bodies in the secondary. Like
Mhm.
that's one area they needed to address, and they did. Unfortunately, the Bucks Saints, Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore rivalry is
It's
over,
done.
which
Yep.
I hate. That's just bad. I like the thought of them getting in a fight every time the Bucks and Saints play. But it's a big pickup for the Commanders. We'll see how effective he can be. Like I said, not the player he once was, but definitely a good bet to take.
Absolutely.
Like not the worst idea.
Gives a veteran presence to I feel like a younger
Yeah.
team too, so that'll obviously help a lot.
Yeah, and he can be pretty good. So we'll see if he will be.
Yep.
Khalil Herbert, this one is just good on the Bears by doing Khalil Herbert a solid, I think.
Mhm.
DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, Travis Homer even has a role there. Khalil Herbert just fell out of the mix, and they found the right suitor with Zach Moss dealing with a neck issue.
Yep.
So he's a Bengal now for a seventh round pick, and Zadarius Smith and a seventh go to the Lions for a fifth and a sixth. There is your Aiden Hutchinson replacement, Darius Smith. Still has some juice left in the tank. That's a nice pickup for them and a no-brainer. So, and I think a guy that fits the mold for a Dan Campbell football player.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, nothing crazy. This is just how the NFL trade deadline is. You get deals like this and you move on. And there's not a ton of excitement, but all the time at least. sometimes you get something crazy, but
Some notable
um,
names that you
yeah,
recognize are moved, which was good to see.
but it's never anything super grandiose. Any thoughts from you on the deals?
The same that you just mentioned for Smith. Obviously, the Hutchinson replacement, and the guy that's going to play with a his hair on fire, like you said for Dan Campbell. The Herbert one to the Bengals makes all the sense in the world. I think you just saw Chase Brown, who's had a very good season, but I think had 100% of the snaps played, if I remember correctly, or my buddy was telling me last night when we were talking about it. So that deal, and like you said too, Herbert, I think was basically the third or fourth string running back on that depth chart at this point. So that's a guy that I think still has some skill. You've seen him have some flashes over the last couple of years. Good get for Cincinnati. I think can kind of be a little bit of a dual threat in the passing game. And then, like you said, too, the Lattimore one is interesting for me, just to see how he gels with the Commanders team, whose defense has not. And a lot of people I feel like thought that defense was going to be pretty bad this year. It's actually been pretty good, one of the better ones in the league. I feel like the last couple weeks, especially. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of gels with that team. All the other ones, nothing. Again, Mike Williams, see if he has anything left in the tank after kind of getting cast off by the Jets there. Nice pickup for the Steelers as well to go along with Pickens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Size too,
Absolutely.
is
Yep.
ever the worst thing, and we see what Mike Williams can do. One guy that surprised some people and myself, the Bengals. I get it, like it's maybe like a personal rental type of situation, is like not trading Trey Hendrickson, who's had contract issues with them.
Mhm.
And a team like the Lions, I wonder how much they asked about Trey Hendrickson, or just a number of other teams. A little bit surprised, but not surprised to see Trey Hendrickson not move because like if you're trying to get back into the playoff mix, you probably don't gain much from trading Trey Hendrickson. So you
Probably
kind of
not.
just like let him go at some point and keep him around. Just accept he's not a part of your future, but he can help your team win football games.
Hmm.
That's about it on that.
Is what it is.
That's the trade deadline. It's pretty similar vibe every year.
Yep.
Pretty unexciting, but maybe Drake May versus Caleb Williams will be exciting.
God, I
I
hope
don't
so.
really know. Um, it's another game in a different vein that's winnable for the Patriots, but like there are combative factors to that elusive W you look for. The 4-4 Bears open at 7-point favorites. They are now 6.5-point favorites. 39.5 is the over under. First time we see May versus Williams. You had the whole controversy last week with DJ Moore just walking off during a
Yep.
play.
Not
That
great.
was pretty insane. Um,
You surprised he didn't get moved after that? I mean, this is a guy I feel like that's been pretty vocal about. Definitely at the start of the year or before the draft, even he was the one I think that was complaining about or made the comment that they shouldn't have moved on from Justin Fields after the slow start from
yeah, didn't we say
Caleb
something like
Williams.
that?
Yeah, he had problems I think earlier in the year or even before the draft, being questioning the move of Fields, and now this. Like, I'm a little surprised, and maybe the teams kind of just picked up on that and didn't want that headache, I guess. But I'm kind of interested that I figured maybe he would be like a last second somebody swoop in and maybe take DJ Moore, off a disgruntled DJ Moore off the Bears. But a little surprised that he kind of sticks there. I'm curious to see if there's any sort of punishment for him in this game. Maybe he misses the first drive or so, but obviously a guy that has all the talent in the world. So you're gonna think if he snaps out of it,
Yeah.
that'd be huge for them. But yeah, definitely interesting to see that kind of dynamic breakdown these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wonder if they would have made something happen if it was available, but like it's probably just as simple as like he's too good to trade, like when he's
Fair.
at the
Yep.
top of his game. So let's not trade him and take him away from Caleb as an option if unless we feel like we should slash need to.
Hmm.
DeAndre Swift has progressively gone better as the season's gone along. Roshan Johnson, I think could be pretty productive with more of a role, but he has gone in the end zone 4 times despite limited snap rush attempts as opposed to DeAndre Swift's 125. Johnson's got 35, but he has gotten the end zone a few times, so that's good to have. He's a good, powerful back, strong guy. Roma Dunze, very good. First time you'll see him. Hasn't like lit up the score sheet consistently, but has been making some plays here and there. So that's a guy to watch out for. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. Like Keenan Allen hasn't been super productive, but like he is still Keenan Allen, so you gotta keep an eye on him. And Cole Kmet has, become a pretty reliable option too. This is the offensive vision they were looking for, and that's what they've gotten. And it hasn't been perfect, but I think you'll take it for year one, Caleb. So,
Hmm.
overall, I think things are pretty solid on the offensive side of the ball, and they can make plays. Pretty productive on defense. TJ Edwards has been excellent. Kevin Byard a guy some people thought was maybe on the back nine, has been pretty productive as well. Second on the team in tackles. Tremaine Edmonds has been great. Tyreek Stevenson, say what you want about in the past couple weeks. He does have 8 pass deflections. He does make plays. Jaquan Brisker is a guy that I really liked at Penn State, and has been a decent NFL player so far. Kyler Gordon's pretty nice. Gervon Dexter, senior, has 4 sacks in the year. Elijah Hicks, Jalen Johnson, I really like here. That big contract extension hasn't been super productive this year, but has made plays. 2 picks doesn't hurt, but I think there's another level. I think Jalen Johnson could be a star, but he's just been pretty good this year. I think he's got the potential to be a star. Montez Sweat, only 3.5 sacks is kind of low for Montez Sweat, so that kind of terrifies me. Against a porous Patriots offensive line, that he could go off. Maybe not like a Will Anderson we saw a few weeks ago against the Patriots, but like have a couple sacks to be a bit of a game wrecker here. They built a nice defense. Got to give credit to Ryan Poles and staff. What they're doing is working. 4-4 isn't ideal, but like you can't fix it overnight, even with the pieces in place. Sometimes the execution isn't there. Sometimes you fuck up. But the Bears are on the right track, and they pose a challenge, especially with their defense, to the Patriots this week.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, a lot of playmakers on that defense, and it's kind of not the same as Tennessee, obviously, but you're getting a much better running back this week. And DeAndre Swift, like you said, has gotten better as the season has gone on after a pretty horrendous start to the year. So yeah, it's a winnable game in the sense of like the Bears offense is really scuffling right now. They were pretty lackluster against the Cardinals last week, as we'll get into with the week recap in a minute here. And Williams has definitely looked like a rookie quarterback at times. He's had his flashes here and there, but I think more so than not, it's been a little bit of a struggle this year for him. But could very well easily see the Bears just hand it off to DeAndre Swift like 30 times and just let him run all over the Patriots like some lesser. Again, nothing against Tony Pollard, but a guy that had struggled last year with Dallas, a guy that you probably should be able to handle a little bit more. Nothing against Hank Bigsby, but like again, not the biggest of names. Like DeAndre Swift is a bigger name, as a guy you expect to have the type of stat lines like you've seen some other running backs have against the Patriots. So that's where my worries are, is the Bears defense obviously being able to get after and Drake May and make his day a living hell, and then just if they need to, could probably just hand the ball off a ton to Swift and beat the Patriots that way.
Okay, I was just making sure. I thought the live stream cut out on us for a sec. So I did hear most of what you were saying, but I did need to check to make sure the live stream did not cut out.
Okay.
It is not showing on Restream, but it is showing on that's live on YouTube, so it doesn't really matter. I guess I'll just look at the chat on Restream and adapt here. So yeah, I'm terrified of DeAndre Swift. That's like more so the thing for me this week with the Bears, even with all their receivers, because Hank Bigsby did it, Tony Pollard did it. It's becoming a theme. The run defense isn't good. DeAndre Swift has been getting hot the last few weeks. Frightening. Do not like. Which is why I do not think the Patriots will win this game, outside of the fact that their defense has playmakers, and also frighten me. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm not picking the Patriots either. Like not a ton of storylines for me. I mean, obviously it's the obvious one. It's does Drake May get any help this week? Is there going to be a receiver that steps up? I'm going to take Hunter Henry out of it because he steps up every week, so it's going to have to be somebody other than him. I want to think maybe this is a week Stevenson starts to get back into it, but the Bears' run defense has been pretty good at times as well. Kind of middle of the pack. I think they're 19th in rushing yards allowed, so maybe not as good as I thought they were going to be. So maybe this is a week Stevenson gets going again, because again, you're going to have to get somebody else other than your quarterback doing it all. I don't have any faith any of the receivers are going to step up. Maybe you get Pop Douglas involved a little bit more than you have been over the last couple of weeks, because we know what he can do when he gets the ball in space. But again, it comes down to the two things we mentioned we're going to harp on. It's the defense of the Bears, and it's DeAndre Swift. And until the Patriots stop either of those two things and protect Drake May, then I think we're going to be picking them to lose a lot of these games more so than not. And that's, like I said, where I have them. To jump right into it, I got Bears 23, Patriots 18.
Yeah, agreed with everything you just said there. We've just been frighteningly in lockstep on a lot of Patriots stuff this year. More so than usual. I feel like typically we align pretty well, but it's not always the case. Last week, we forgot our score predictions. I had 24-13 Pats. Ryan had 20-13, just for anyone keeping records out there. And this one, you have 23-18. I have 24-17, so a very different score. Yeah, we're in the same frame of mind here. it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this will be a bad loss. I just think they're going to lose. The the defense, the front seven scares me.
Yep.
And the ability to run and have outside of that too. We haven't forgot about it, but the Patriots can't they have options. Keenan Allen isn't what he once was, but they have options, and the Patriots do not have a deep secondary. So yeah, it could be much worse. Maybe not much worse, but I don't know. This is an odd game. It's an odd game, but hey, Williams versus May is exciting.
It is. It would be different too if the Patriot if whenever you talk about a rookie quarterback, at least in years prior, you talk about oh, maybe the Patriots will make the rookie quarterback look like a rookie quarterback and get after him and make his afternoon tough. They haven't done that with any quarter. They didn't, I feel touch Mason Rudolph last week, so their pass rush has been non-existent. They're not getting turnovers at all. So it's one of those things where it's if you can't do that and you can't, make Caleb Williams' day a little rougher than it needs to be, I don't have any faith again until something changes. You've had nothing on the defensive side of the ball these last couple of weeks. Everyone always wants to talk about how bad the offense looks and want to get after the offense. The defense isn't inspiring any confidence either right now. Again, whether it's getting run all over or just not getting home. I can't remember the last time, like you said earlier, Keon White has really done nothing these last couple of weeks except get bad penalties here and there. They really don't have any sort of Dietrich Wise, I feel has been a passenger for most of this season, which sucks to see. So again, until something changes there, I don't know how you can have any confidence in anything with the way the team has gone. Not that a lot of people do. I mean, It's not like we're the only two people here that are talking about the Patriots, being bad and expecting
not
Patriots to lose this game. Yeah, this isn't anything new.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get to any point where I was I think this game is winnable, but there was never any point where I was okay, I'm picking the Patriots to win this week. Just is what it is. Shall we get to our week recap from the past week?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Jets and Texans. The Jets were confusingly a favorite to a lot of people, and Vegas knows. Vegas knows.
They got the 5G. They know.
Yep, it's all the 5G. Also, going into this betting discrepancy, if you want to call it, the no Nico Collins, no Stephon Diggs. That's also part of it as well.
Complicates things a little bit.
It's not completely unfounded, and Vegas just knew Aaron Rodgers was going to return to form a little bit. No picks, 3 touchdowns, 211 yards, 22 for 32. Did get sacked twice. Devontae Adams gets the end zone. Wilson gets in twice. Things were clicking just as much as they needed to for the New York Jets. They pulled out the win, a big win. And they had 8 sacks on defense. Didn't stop Joe Mixon from doing what Joe Mixon has been doing this year. Been an awesome fit in Houston, but yeah, should have been on the Jets, I guess. I don't know.
It's the one leg of the parlay we didn't get. It's weird. Obviously we're not Jets fans, so I'm not gonna say you wonder what you feel like for a Jets fan, but you got to think this instills a little bit of confidence. Maybe like you said, the Texans were pretty banged up, so I don't know how much this says about the Jets winning this game, but it was, if you're a Jets fan, probably good to see Aaron Rodgers, like you said, bounce back a little bit, 3 touchdown performance. Breece Hall still has moments here and there, but I still think they could be using him a little better. Obviously good to see Devontae Adams start to pick it up with Rodgers. And then Garrett Wilson has turned into what we expected Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers to look like. He continues to make insane catches and have these big stat lines. So maybe it's a building block for the Jets, but I feel like they're probably still a little too far out of it to make any sort of real legitimate run. And again, maybe they just, I don't want to say got lucky because they played well in this game, but you got a banged up Texans team on a short week. Plus I think the Diggs stuff came out, I think it was Monday. So it's not like this is something they knew about and had, a couple weeks to prepare for. You had to prepare for that on a short week. And like you said, no Nico Collins. So that obviously makes things a little bit more difficult. And CJ Stroud has not looked great these last couple of weeks. Now, again, maybe that's because he has nobody to throw the ball to at this point. But again, maybe a good win for the Jets if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, it's, quarterbacks are human without their top guys.
Crazy. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it is a thing. Not being a hater, I think Odell's catch was a little better, and I don't think that should have counted. Really? Didn't get 2 feet in.
There were some questions, yeah. I mean, that was one of 3 of those catches that happened
to 2 feet?
So
what happened to 2 feet? What happened to 2 feet? Did they say, okay, this is badass, and he got the shin down? and 1
Maybe.
foot. So we're just gonna call it a catch. I don't know. Tinfoil hat. Like
Was that the
I'm
deciding
fine. I'm
touchdown
fine.
too?
I'm fine. What?
So was that the deciding touchdown too?
I think it was. I
Might
think
have
it was.
been. Keep that tinfoil hat on there for a second.
Tinfoil hat. Back to the betting. Um, they knew. They
Just
knew.
knows.
They knew not only that the Jets were gonna win. They knew that Garrett Wilson was gonna recreate the Jordan logo. I will say, like, is what it is with the catch. Like, I don't really have too much of a problem with it. I've been led to believe you have to get 2 feet in, though. I do think Odell's was a little better. A little better.
Okay. I
It
don't have any
was,
strong
yeah,
opinions. I think they were both very good catches. I think you could definitely argue that one may have not been and the other one definitely was. So,
yeah.
but again,
There's an argument each side.
it was crazy to see that may not have even been the best one of those catches from this week because again, there was like 3 of them on Sunday alone. So,
Oh yes. Yeah. Unfortunate. I used my I already forget King of the Court $85 bonus bet. Part of it was on the Texans, but the Patriots didn't win either, and I had Patriots money line in that, so that's unfortunate. But um, Falcons beat the Cowboys. They didn't Falcons it. They took advantage of a wounded um, Cowboys team. Dak Prescott hurt. Kirk Cousins, very efficient, very effective. Um, Offense was cooking. Tyler Rozier got in the end zone. Um, CD sprained AC joint. Dak out for a few weeks. Are the Cowboys going to make the playoffs?
no, the Cowboys are done. Like nothing against Cooper Rush, nothing against the rest of that team. Maybe the new wide receiver they just got, whose name is escaping me, Jonathan Mingo.
Jonathan Mingo.
Maybe he balls out for them, but the Cowboys are just too banged up. Like they're not making any sort of run. Jerry Jones can continue to think that they're gonna steamroll their way into the playoffs all he wants and bounce back, but they are as good as dead at this point.
Just hire Bill. Maybe don't, like with Dak hurt. Maybe just wait. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe wait till Dak gets back.
You think McCarthy survives the season? Like at this rate,
No.
I feel like you got to be thinking like mid-season, especially if you're Jerry Jones and you want to get desperate. Um, like you got to be going like week to week. I feel like at this point.
You got to get a coach that works with Jonathan Mingo. You know, if Mike McCarthy doesn't work, you got to get a guy that works with Mingo.
I guess, yeah, he's your next big
You know,
playmaker.
yeah, huge.
Build the offense around him.
I hope Jonathan Mingo doesn't listen to the podcast. That would be tough. He probably does. Fuck.
Catching ricochet shots left and right.
Bills 30, Dolphins 27. No Amari Cooper. Ray Davis. I really like watching him play, and it makes me upset because he's on the Bills, who I don't like. I didn't catch a ton of this game though, so I don't have a ton to add. But it looked like a pretty good game. I was kind of in and out of this game on Red Zone. So
it was mainly the majority I caught of it was just a Devon A-Chain show. I mean, a touchdown on the ground, 63 yards, 58 in the air, and a touchdown as well. Kind of crazy to me that Tua comes back and they still can't. Again, this isn't me speaking. Having both these guys on a couple fantasy teams, still can't seem to figure out how to get Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle involved more than they are. And then it was like you said, no Amari Cooper, but more of the Bills. Is supporting cast even the right word? Because like Matt Collins had a touchdown. Whoever Quentin Morris is scored a touchdown as well.
yeah.
And like you said, Ray Davis had a big. I think it wasn't 70 plus on the touchdown, but had a big touchdown reception as well. So it wasn't even their bigger guys. I know Khalil. I was gonna say Khalil Herbert, the receiver whose name is escaping me. Thank you, Khalil Shakir. He had a nice day, but didn't get in the end zone. Obviously, Coleman didn't do a whole lot. I feel like it was more of the like third stringers is kind of a derogatory term, but you don't expect Matt Collins and Quentin Morris to beat you if you're the Bills or the Dolphins.
You expect Matt Collins to be a little goofy. He does some stuff that's weird.
For sure.
It has crazy hair, but the Panthers have won a football game, but does it really count that much when you beat the Saints? I don't really know.
Beats me.
Sorry, Panthers fans, but hey, you got to win. I don't even know if they want to win, but they did. That didn't stop Alvin Kamara from totaling 216 total yards.
Talk about wasting a performance
for my fantasy team because, no matter what my team does, even when they're healthy, it doesn't matter. It's just how it is. I hate fantasy football more and more every year. Maybe one day I'll quit, but I probably won't. Because it's fun to be in a league with your boys. I don't know. Even when it's going bad, I just can't let it affect me too much, but it is affecting me clearly. He went off 29 for 155, 6 for 60, 216 total yards. As you have noted here, Michael Thomas went scorched earth on Derek Carr next. He
Legit.
fucking
He
hates
hates Derek
Derek
Carr.
Carr,
Yep.
which is like pretty hilarious, and
Very
that's nothing
funny.
against Derek Carr. It's yeah, like just going around like that's pretty funny to be honest. Chris Olave hurt again. It's just been a really rough past few weeks for Mr. Olave. Been a rough season for the New Orleans Saints. Chuba Hubbard, the guy you mentioned on the show a couple times, went off, and Bryce Young gets a win.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't terrible in this game. He continues to put together these kind of like very average stat lines, a pick, a touchdown, but showing some improvement, I guess you could say. I'm curious to see how the Saints bounce back from this because I feel like you could very well argue that the Panthers beat them and may have killed that team for the rest of the season. Did you see the tweets that guys were putting out? Basically, was it Cam Jordan? I think basically like apologized to fans for losing to the Panthers. There was I don't know if it was
Yeah, that's tough for the Panthers
if
too.
there was another play, I don't know if he was a defensive tackler or what he was. But there was some other guy too, like mouthing off about how bad the game was and like pathetic, basically that they lost. So like, I'm curious to see if the
And
Saints,
like Olave's brother or cousin
yeah,
or
he
something
was,
was
yep.
tweeting,
I don't know if it was true or
or
not, but
was
I
it his
could have.
dad? I
It
don't
might have been
know.
his. It was somebody in his
I don't know.
family, but
Someone in the family. Yeah.
I could have sworn I saw a tweet or somebody said something the other day that Chris Olave's had like concussions over the last couple of seasons or something insane like that. So that's obviously interesting to see if he'll be able to at least just play in general or bounce back from this. Like at this point, if you're the Saints, why would you put him out there at this point? Like hold him out as long as you need to, because you're clearly not going anywhere. You're not going to make any strides at this point in the year. But yeah, I'm curious to see how they bounce back from this, from the Allen firing to players maybe revolting and again being embarrassed from this loss. Um, you got to think the Panthers, after you see that, are kind of reveling this, whether, like you said, they want to win or not.
Yeah, and the on the Allen thing too, expected firing. He
Oh,
sucks. They
absolutely.
suck.
Yeah.
Injuries haven't helped as well. They haven't had
Second time
Rashid
Derek's
Shaheed the
Carr's
last few
gotten him
weeks.
fired in season, which is kind of
Derek
funny.
Carr gets hurt. Yeah, that I forgot. That's crazy. You brought that up because I forgot that fact. Um, Olave's been banged up a couple times. Kamara is playing hurt. Now they trade Marshall and Lattimore. That is a team that is negative in cap space every year and needs to consider doing a rebuild. Really needs
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Completely
And that
tear it
starts with
down.
they should trade Alvin Kamara. I don't know if they should trade Olave, trade Derek Carr if anybody wants him. Like,
Can't imagine that value's high,
um, God,
especially with his contract.
they gotta trade some guys. They gotta fix their offensive line. Talisa Fuanga isn't gonna be it, even though he's been pretty good outside of some penalties. Their first round pick, I really like him. He's a mauler in the run game. But yeah, the Saints have problems, and I told you if you listen to the show preseason, I told you they did. They've lost every single game since their hot start. The Raiders also fired Luke Getsy, offensive coordinator. Speaking of teams that have fired coaches, and a couple other guys on in his brain trust, I assume. They lose 41-24 to the Bengals. Things continue to be bad for the Raiders. Another team kind of as expected. Chase Brown ran all over him. Mike Gesicki had 2 touchdowns. That should just like really signal that your season's over.
Horrible, gritty. Yeah.
Joe Burrow threw 5 touchdowns. Don't really see quarterbacks throwing 5 touchdowns all that much these days in a game. Did throw 1 pick, but they pissed on them. Speaking of Trey Hendrickson, as you noted here, 4 sacks, 4 tackles, 7 quarterback hits, 4 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble is an absolutely stupidly ridiculous, preposterous stat
That's
line.
a Madden stat line. Like,
This was a 41-24 game that was felt most of the game
way
more
more
like a
than that.
30-point win.
Yeah.
So it's bad for the Raiders. They should be looking for a quarterback and any infusion of talent this offseason because they just don't know
They
how
don't
to
have a
build a
lot
very
of it.
good football team.
No,
They don't know how to build a good football team.
they're terrible. And like this is one of those wins where it tells you nothing about the Bengals. Like they are approaching Dolphins level, and I like the Bengals, I like Joe Burrow, but they are approaching Dolphins level finesse bitch team. Like, and it pains me to say that with how much I like Cincinnati, but they beat up on the bad teams and they can't play against the good teams. So they are in that territory for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, yeah, that's fair. I think that's definitely fair.
Thank you.
At least their quarterback isn't a push weirdo.
True.
Though.
Yeah, there's more guys to like on the Bengals than there are to. So finesse
really
bitch is a
are.
little strong. Like that's more out of hatred for the Dolphins and a couple of their players. But
And for the situation of playing a good team, they're playing the Ravens tomorrow, probably without T. Higgins. So good luck. That shouldn't
Not
be very fun
not
for the
great.
Bengals. Chargers 27, Browns 10. The luster wore off a little quickly. It's not over for Jameis Winston because it's never over.
Fair.
But Justin Herbert, hey, cooking a little bit. God, he's fun to watch when he's on his game and doing Justin Herbert things. Only
Crazy
thrown
what that
one
team
pick this
looks
year.
like with a competent coach, huh?
Yeah, he's not going to win MVP, but there is no quarterback more valuable to their team than Justin Herbert.
Ooh, that might be a hot take there. You think Kansas City could get by without Patrick Mahomes? We had that scare for like 10 seconds in last night or Monday night's game.
Oh, we did have that scare, dude. I
Yeah.
was so worried. I called you on the phone, like
Yeah.
pleading he'd be okay. We
Losing
actually
it.
prayed together.
Yeah.
Um.
And then by the time I answered my phone, he was back out on the field playing, so it's not like it was anything to.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Just gotta act like you're hurt to get a little storyline going. Once that happened, you're like, all right, the Chiefs are gonna win later in overtime. That's how it works.
Yep. That's how it goes.
God, this fucking team. Um,
But the Chargers, sorry.
the
Back on them.
Chargers. Back to the Chargers. Quentin Johnston has he fully escaped bust territory yet? Because I think he has.
Maybe he's had some really good games
Maybe
this
not
year.
fully. Maybe we see how the rest of the season goes. I'm not calling him a bust anymore. I'll say that.
Okay.
But the defense continues to make plays for the Chargers, and yeah, like you said, it's crazy what coaching can do, especially not only coaching, the disparity in coaching, based on who you had in the
night and
past,
day.
a
It
complete
really is.
bonehead
Yep.
in Brandon Staley. So, yeah, Jameis Winston threw 3 picks as well. Wasn't really good for the Browns. Wasn't really good.
No, it was not. Like you said, you hope it you're right, it's never over for Jameis Winston, but I don't know. Maybe if he did it while he was here, maybe Billy Zappi sees a performance like this and is licking his chops to get in there and yeah, can you imagine? Imagine that's the season for the Browns, and I mean Browns fans deserve it after a couple of videos I saw of them and their tailgates over the
Oh yeah,
weekends.
that was fucking weird.
Yeah, so they deserve everything they get. Like they don't deserve Jameis. But like imagine
they do a good job of reminding yourselves like to not feel bad for them.
exactly.
And sure, it's some fans, not all fans.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fan base, a lot
Yeah,
of
that's true.
situations.
You feel bad for the football fans that just want to like go and watch the team and hope the
you
team
feel
has
bad for the Johnny
success.
Fantas of the world that rant about them every week. I'm decked.
But like, imagine that you start the year off with Deshaun Watson, how bad he was. Jameis comes in, gives you a fun week, and then maybe plays bad this week too, and God forbid he gets benched, and then you have to go to Bailey Zappi. Like that's just you're living.
What
in
if
football.
they went to DTR over Bailey Zappi though? What would be funnier? Bailey Zappi starting or DTR starting over Bailey Zappi?
Oh, I think Zappi starting.
Wait, I just said the same thing in 2 different ways, didn't I?
I think you might have, but
I think
just
maybe
because we know how much.
Maybe I didn't frame it right. Maybe what's like the funnier way to look at it, I should have said.
I think the funnier way to look at it would be Zappi starting because Browns fans know what I could never say his name. Dorian, I always get it
Dorian
backwards.
Thompson Robinson.
Thompson
or
Robinson,
Robert.
thank you.
I think it's Robinson, not Robert.
Whatever it is, DTR. Browns fans know what he brings to the table. Like if you're a Browns fan, you weren't watching closely last year to the Patriots. You don't know. Like you probably see Bailey Zappi if he comes in. You're like, all right, cool. Maybe this guy will give us a spark. Meanwhile, we know the level of suck that Bailey Zappi brings to the table. Yeah. So I think that would be the funnier thing. Is also, Browns fans getting hope and then just have
Bailey Zappi. You draft a guy like him to develop maybe into like a decent backup. Like DTR was as another guy in a different mold, like a backup mold. Like was drafted because of tools. Nobody really expected Dorian Thompson Robinson to be like this beast quarterback in the NFL. And that's not to say it couldn't have been, but it doesn't look like it. It looked like the guy a lot of people expected. Looks like the guy a lot of people expected. The Giants kept it relatively close against the Commanders. It hasn't been a complete disaster for the Giants lately, right? Like,
not terrible.
Like,
Daniel Jones has looked competent at times.
I think it could have certainly been worse at times because they are not good. But Jane Daniels continues to play good, efficient football. Austin Eckler was pretty solid. Terry McLaurin gets in the end zone twice on 2 catches. That'll work.
Efficient day. Yep.
Daniel Jones, as you said here in the outline too, wasn't that bad. Like, but the better team won. Maybe you take something from this if you're the Giants, but I think this team is just wearing on Brian Daboll. Every time I see him, it's like he looks just defeated and upset and downtrodden more often than not. Unless he's screaming, he's still got the passion in him.
True.
To scream at refs or players. But he looks downtrodden a lot. I feel bad for him because I like
I
Dable.
was just gonna say he's like McCarthy. You laugh at with how bad that team is. Sirianni, when the Eagles struggle, you laugh at him because
Oh,
he's just a
nobody
douchebag.
more than
But
Sirianni.
Dayball, you feel bad for because it's like the roster sucks. Like I said it numerous times last year. Their entire offense walked out the door last year. Malik Neighbors has his moments. But when you have a putz like Daniel Jones throwing the ball like that, you're not going to succeed with him as your quarterback ever. So I'm right there with you. You feel bad for Dayball 100%.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's the Giants' experience. The Broncos have exceeded expectations. They got humbled this week, losing 41-10 to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson only throws the ball 19 times, completes 16 passes, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. Um, he's just so good.
That
Derrick
was all
Henry
pretty much in the
continues to be a
first
large
half.
freak.
I feel like too. Like the 3 touchdowns were definitely in the first half, and they
Yeah,
just didn't even need him in the
I
second.
don't remember, but yeah, like Zay was great. Derrick Henry was great. That's the formula you need. Bo Nix looked like Bo Nix. So yeah, there's
Mm.
that. Not shouldn't be super surprising to anyone. Cortland Sutton was great though. Um, and this was a bitching. This was a bitching that the Broncos, I guess, were due for.
Yeah, I mean the only cool moment from this game really was Bo Nix mossed somebody on a touchdown pass, or came pretty close to it. Had a jump ball from Cortland Sutton, so that was a cool moment for Denver. And then it really went all downhill after that. So really nothing to take away from this game other than it kind of went as we expected it to.
Yeah. The Ravens continues to look frightening. Cardinals beat the Bears 29-9. I think more the large majority of people probably expected this game to be a lot closer, but it
I
wasn't.
did.
Beat the bag out of the Bears by 20 points.
Yeah, it was really the ground game for the Cardinals. James Conner had 18 and 107 on the ground. Jim Ricardo had a touchdown, 59 yards rushing. Trey Benson had a touchdown on the ground. McBride had a 2-yard rushing touchdown. So it was really just their ground game that dominated. And their defense obviously was very good as well with the 6 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, 5 tackles for losses, and 4 pass deflections. And we talked about the Bears in the Patriots segment. Caleb Williams continues to look more like rookie Caleb Williams at the start of the year than that little heater he went on kind of in the middle of the season. So it'll be interesting to see if he and that offense figures it out. And then, like you mentioned earlier, kind of the big takeaway, if you're a Bears fan, is that DJ Moore may have quit on your team halfway through the season.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. This was a reasonable scenario for Caleb to have a good game too. Like not the greatest defense
Yeah.
you'll see in
Yep.
Arizona. They did one guy we forgot to mention that got traded, get Baron Browning or trade Baron Browning. I don't know which one happened. Now that I think of it, Baron Browning
Do not know.
is now a Bronco. So yeah, no, yeah,
Yes.
no,
No.
I was right. He's a Cardinal, so they are trying to help that defense because hey, Cardinals won 5 games, so
Scrappy.
maybe Baron Browning helps that. He was a solid college player. Good bet to take for a late round guy, a late round flyer rather. He might have been a late round guy too. Eagles 28, Jaguars 23. Jaguars keep it close. Trevor Lawrence's status for this upcoming week is in doubt. Saquon Barkley continues to be a freak. Yeah,
So nasty. He can hurl guys, not
there's
even looking
that.
at him.
That was probably the coolest thing ever.
The whole play itself, I mean,
I
the
think that
spin
was
move right before
no,
that, and
no,
then
no. I wanted to be dramatic and say that was cooler than Garrett Wilson's catch, but it was cooler in a different aspect. Nobody's ever done that.
I would
What
say it's
Barkley did.
cooler than Garrett Wilson. You would alluded to it earlier. Garrett Wilson's catch may not have been a catch. So
Yeah,
Saquon
that's true
definitely
too.
jumped somebody
Yeah, fuck
backwards.
Garrett Wilson. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
Sorry,
What do you want to
Garrett.
give? Who do you want to give credit to? The Jets player or an Eagle? Like Philly or New York? Who do you
Oh
give credit to?
yeah,
Both disgusting options.
two big piles of shit.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts continues to be pretty good. I guess I don't like him. Um, another guy to watch for his status on the other side. You know, of course, they're not playing each other again. But Devontae Smith did not participate in practice today due to a hamstring injury.
Oh,
So,
well, he's banged up. We know AJ Brown's banged up. We saw what the Eagles
yep.
look like without both those guys in the lineup. So
Mm.
the Eagles are maybe.
Jahan Dotson. This is why they got him.
Yeah,
This
maybe.
is why they got him. No, it's Paris Campbell's time to shine.
There you go.
Um,
Blast from the past.
yeah, that didn't work. Um, Lions 24, Packers 14. Um, big pick six by Kirby Joseph. Um, Jared Goff is winning games by not really doing much
He
still.
doesn't have to do anything. Like I like Jared Goff, but he's such a passenger on that team. Like just don't turn the ball
Yeah,
over. You're probably gonna win.
he's a passenger that can rise to the occasion. It's just
Yeah, it's
it's a
weird.
funny situation for him to be in. It's got to be kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
he probably does want to go a little more crazy on the stat sheet, I imagine.
You would think.
Um, but this is a guy does this ability to win games? They won the Titans game by a lot more. He only threw for 85 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks. Does this lower his MVP appeal
It might. I mean, there's guys
in
that
a
are putting
weird
up.
way?
I think it does. There are guys that are putting up way bigger stats that obviously are having a ton. Lamar,
And it
obviously, I
just
think is ahead
shows
of him.
they can win without him going off. And they beat a good team. They didn't beat a team like the Titans this time.
True. Yep.
Who of course beat the Patriots, but we're talking different strokes here. It's odd, but hey, the Lions,
It works.
it's fun to see them win. I think, we can agree on that. So
Absolutely.
Rams 26, Seahawks 20 in overtime. Geno Smith leads the league in passing yards, but the Seahawks have had a tough last few weeks. DK Metcalf's hurt. He throws 3 picks to just cancel out the 3 passing touchdowns.
You want to talk about a
Rams
Geno
win in
stat
overtime.
line?
Yeah, Puka Nacua, unfortunately, didn't really do much.
Punched a guy.
Is that punched a guy?
Which handed me a win in fantasy football. I have now been on the positive side of AJ Brown losing his mind and running through the end zone with his shirt off, which helped me win a championship.
Antonio Brown.
Thank you. What did I say? AJ Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah, Antonio Brown. Yep, that's psycho. And now I was the beneficiary of Puka Nacua slapping a guy last week, which helped me get a win by 5 points.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
I was gonna say when you said that, I forgot he got ejected. I was like, wait, did he lose points in fantasy for slapping someone?
Yeah.
No, just a little salad brains on my part. LA's defense was great. Braden Fisk has 2 sacks. They had 7 total, 11 cute quarterback hits, 8 tackles for loss, 8 pass deflections, and a fumble recovery. Vikings 21, Colts 13. Justin Jefferson, what did he say? The mic'd up clip, he said he said something funny when he got single coverage and made a huge catch, but he said something funny. I'm drawing a blank. I saw it 3 hours before the podcast. I should remember. But is what it is. I noticed your typo in here. You had Flacon.
Flacon?
Flacon.
Flacon. All right.
Joe Flacon. Joe Falcon.
There you go.
That's his new name. I got to be honest, I wasn't really super invested in
Yeah,
this
I didn't
game.
watch any of this game, to be honest. So,
yeah,
not a whole lot to add other than the Vikings won, the Colts. I mean, they can't really get anything going right with the quarterback position right now. Nothing against Joe Flacco, but this was not a inspiring performance from him after they benched Anthony Richardson. They are going to stick with him, though. So I think, what does that say about Anthony Richardson? That he really has no shot, it seems like, at getting the starting position back, barring an injury or anything like that. And the Vikings did what they had to do to win the game. Shut down Jonathan Taylor. Josh Downs didn't do a whole lot. And then Michael Pittman has kind of been non-existent for most of this season, was not good in this game at all.
Yeah, it just wasn't the most exciting game. It looked like early on that Jonathan Taylor was going to run for 100+ yards. He had a hot start, and he didn't. He ran for 48 on the ground and caught 3 passes for 11. So that's a little disappointing.
Not good.
I think I might have dozed off on the couch at some point in this game too, but I
can't say
don't
I
really
blame
remember it. That's probably part of the reason why. Excuse me. Chiefs 30, Bucks 24. This is another game I was sleepy for, so I missed part of it, caught a chunk of it. DeAndre Hopkins.
You called this one.
Yeah.
It only took you a week, so points there.
Cade Otton's really, really good.
Yes,
one of the best tight ends in the league over the last few weeks. I think he's just establishing himself as one of the best, which is huge for the Bucks right now with their receiver situation. Patrick Mahomes was good, faked an injury. Travis Kelce caught the ball 14 times for 100 yards. Went 0 for 4 on my parlay in this game. Pretty sick.
Nice.
What did you do, Ryan? Did you have any enjoyable aspects of this game? Because I
Not
really didn't.
Yes, I had a very enjoyable aspect in this game. If it was not for Kareem Hunt's touchdown and K. Otton's explosion in the second half, I would have lost to the guy that is, I can't remember who it is, so apologies there. But the team that was 1-7 going into our matchup
Oh,
on our fantasy football league. So as much as I hated to see the Chiefs walk off with a win there, that touchdown did help me keep pace in our league in fantasy and not have a discouraging loss to a team that only has one win.
yeah. I mean, I hate fantasy football. Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey have big days go to waste, and the Chiefs remain undefeated. Shall we move on to week 10 in our predictions?
Yes, we shall.
You went 10-5. I went 9-6. I also would have went 10-5 if the Bucks didn't blow it.
Pulled off a miracle.
Yeah, if they pulled off a miracle. Felt good about it. Almost happened.
We would have flipped. I would have been 9-6. You would have been 10-5.
True.
Yep.
True.
That was the deciding factor.
Is what it is. Bengals, Ravens. If you listened earlier, you know our thoughts. I think we're both in agreement that the Ravens are going to win this game.
Yes.
And that's going to be the case. The Bengals do not win a game like this unless they snap out of their ways.
Going to be a lot harder too if T. Higgins doesn't play. Like you said, questionable.
Yes.
I can't imagine he's going to play because I feel like he's played like 1 or 2 games this entire season. Has been banged up for most of it, so I'm going to take the Ravens, the healthier and the better all-around team.
Yes, I don't know why you would take anyone else, being the Bengals, the only other team. The 2-7 Giants versus the 2-7 Panthers. Oh goody. This is like the
what did the Germans do to deserve this game? Yeah.
Giants. The Panthers are winning 2 games in a row, right? No.
I kind of wanted to pick them too, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
At least for the Giants, Daniel Jones hasn't been quite awful. Daniel Jones.
Yep.
But like the one thing going for them, they do have a good pass rush. Dexter Lawrence continues to be the best interior defensive tackle in the league, and Brian Burns is good. Azeez Ojulari they held on to at the deadline. They got guys. They got bodies. Leonard Williams. I don't know. Leonard Williams is on the Seahawks now, I believe, actually. I must have been thinking of someone else. Yeah, I don't know. I just, even against the Giants, I can't pick the Panthers. Just can't do it.
I couldn't bring myself to do it. Right there with you.
I wanted to pick the Bucs in this game, but I didn't.
I'm a little surprised you didn't.
But I didn't.
For what reason?
Changing to the Bucs again. Doing it again 2
Oh,
weeks in a row.
another
This week
audible.
it's going to work. This
Wow,
week it's going to work.
Okay.
Bucs. Gut has changed. It's Bucs. That's what I call analysis.
You do know Christian McCaffrey might play this week, right? 49ers are coming off a bye. Debo might be back. That's why I'm picking the 49ers.
Bucs.
All right. Hey, I mean, they almost knocked off the Chiefs. So
YOLO.
Yep.
Debo will fucking just like not play. He'll stub his toe and not play on the first play. Like
and I like Debo, but that's how
I'm never drafting him again.
You sound like my friend in my $100 league.
Never doing it. Steelers and Commanders. I briefly said Steelers, but I said Commanders in the end.
I couldn't bring myself to take the Steelers. This is a game the Steelers win, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Like
I couldn't either. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. We're in the same frame of mind there. Patriots, Bears. We both had Bears, unfortunately. Bills and Colts. This is another team, not quite in the Panthers mold, but I'm just not picking the Colts to beat many teams.
No.
The Bills, I mean, they're pretty dang good too. They just find ways to win football games. So, it's the Bills, even on the road. Vikings and Jaguars.
You gonna ride with Mac if he plays?
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Do it.
Mac Jones might play.
I'm not riding with Mac. There's quarterbacks that
Sam Darnold.
Oh God, seen that matchup before. Right?
Oh man,
is he with the Jets on that? Maybe not.
Sam Darnold's gonna see the ghost of Mac Jones and fucking lose.
Yeah,
no, Vikings.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Vikings, Broncos and Chiefs. Chiefs. Maybe this is the downfall of the Broncos. But like they're knowing how they played this year, they're going to keep this game close for some majority of it, but they'll lose. They'll find a way to lose. They'll get out coached. Some voodoo will happen with the Chiefs. Maybe Patrick Mahomes will fake another injury, make a miraculous return,
Maybe.
and win the game. Fucking pussy. Falcons and Saints. Unless you have anything to add in that game.
No, I don't. You hit all
I
the.
moved on haphazardly because I hate talking about the Chiefs.
It's fine. I mean, I texted you with the other night. The Chiefs are, I'm 100%. They're going undefeated this year. Like their schedule's a cakewalk. I think minus maybe one team the rest of the way. Like they're not going to lose.
Sweet. Just if they go undefeated and lose in the playoffs, though, that'd be great. Falcons and Saints.
Gross.
Yuck. The Falcons will just crush them. It's just fucking
right
over for the Saints. Yeah. They are going to beat the shit out of the Saints. This is not a Falcons a bowl game. In any way.
They'll win this game. They're rolling right now on offense. The Saints look as dead as they are. I don't even know who the hell they have. I never even saw an announcement of who their interim coach even is. Like I don't think they're gonna get any sort of boost from whoever they brought in, or promoted. So it's the Falcons all the way.
Agreed. Titans and Chargers. This is the Chargers all day and twice on Sunday. This is not a blowout, but this is one. The Titans aren't winning 2 games in a row. They're just
God
not.
no.
And the
Chargers
Chargers
won last week.
The Chargers are harnessing something more and more as the season goes along under Harbaugh. So they will win this game.
All right. I'm right there with you.
Alrighty. Jets and Cardinals. You have the Cardinals. I have the Jets.
Gross. Why?
Yes. Don't know.
Okay.
Part of me feels like the Jets might have found something, at least to beat the Cardinals. Not something to like compete for a Super Bowl or anything, but like they'll win this game by like 3 or 4 points, I think.
Gross. Can't do it.
I know.
Can't bring myself to pick the Jets. Screw
really
them.
hate it too.
Cardinals are scrappy. I think they found a way to win this game.
Yeah, I don't know. It just
it would be so Jets.
Came out Jets for me.
It would be so Jets too to come off a big Thursday night football win for them. Them themselves think we're getting rolling now. Our season's back. Aaron Rodgers looked great, and then to come out and just put up an absolute stinker against the Cardinals.
It would be awesome. I hope I'm wrong on this one. Eagles and Cowboys. Cooper Rush is not being the Eagles.
No.
Jalen Hurts will probably have like 3 rushing touchdowns this game, and this might be not like Lions Cowboys, but like maybe like a 30-10 Eagles victory.
Okay.
I think they're gonna roll. They're gonna go in and roll. It's bad for the Cowboys right now. It's bad. Unless Jonathan Mingo goes off,
maybe, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know.
Could happen. I'm letting it be known I made this pick before the Cowboys announced that Dak was out and gonna miss time. That's how little faith I have in the Cowboys, whether it's Dak, Cooper Rush, Trey Lance, whoever the hell they decide to play. It's the Eagles all the way. The Cowboys are dead. Like their season is over.
Yes, it is. Lions and Texans. Maybe I'd give the Texans more of a chance with a healthy receiver core. Nico Collins could be back, I think I saw earlier. But no, it's just things are working for the Lions right now. Do get a good matchup of defenses here, even without Aiden Hutchinson. But I don't know. It's just I couldn't quite get to the Texans, and I'm high on the Lions this year. It was Lions all the way for the most part.
I'm going to take the Texans solely because I need an upset on my card. And I think if there's a spot to do it, Texans, they need to maybe start feeling good about themselves. Lions really haven't had a slip-up performance yet this year. Like you said, Nico Collins might come back for the Texans. That could give him a boost if that happens. I'm going to take the Texans in a potentially ugly win.
Yeah, I don't know. This one could go a lot of different ways, and it could be a big day on the ground to get some explosive running backs.
Yes.
So you got Dolphins and Rams. The Rams have gotten a couple of their Infinity Stones back. Yes, so I will be picking them most weeks from now on. They won in overtime last week with a Puka Nacua who punched someone. So that didn't really derail them from losing.
Nope.
Yeah, it's the Rams. The Dolphins, like you said, have not figured out quite how to get back to using Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle effectively as they can be, with Tua coming back recently. So, yeah, I don't know why you picked the Dolphins in this.
Their defense is just not good. Like, I didn't think the Rams defense was as good as it was, and they proved something last week. And like you said, they're getting guys healthy back. It'd be a little different if they weren't getting I mean, obviously their two receivers are great in Cup and Nakua, but they're getting stuff from Demarcus Robinson still. Like he had
Kyron
obviously
Williams is sick.
was the game William Kyron Williams has been excellent for them as well. They're just an all around better team than the Dolphins, and again, like the Cowboys, the Dolphin season's over. Like I think McDaniels, like I said before, is a boob as well. So that's a guy I think that should be on
Yeah,
the hot seat as the
he
season
should be
goes on.
fired.
Yeah, because he is doing nothing for them right now.
Absolutely nothing. The bye weeks are Cleveland, Green Bay, the Raiders, and the Seahawks. And the Seahawks honestly need it.
Yes, they do.
So there is that. On to Bruins, Ryan. The Bruins continue to be weird and annoying. The most weird and annoying came on Halloween. They did not, in fact, dress up as a good hockey team for Halloween.
See what you did there. That's clever.
I know. Thanks. God, this is not going to be an enjoyable experience. They lost 8-2. Jeremy Swayman stops 16 of 22. Korpisalo stops 13 of 15. They're outshot 37-15. A consistent 5 shots on goal per period for the Bruins. Yay.
Nice.
Fuck.
Be anything. Be consistent.
Yeah, I guess, man. I was in and out of this game because shout out to my girlfriend. She made me dinner that night. Very nice of her. And it got to a point where the game was so bad that I just turned it off. I probably would have done it even if I wasn't with her. But good God, it just wasn't worth watching. Face-off percentage, advantage, 56.2%. Giveaways, Carolina gave away the puck 21 times. Bruins only 13. Another advantage. Hits, out-hit them 32-12. Block shots, out-block shotted them 13-7. Damn, this fucking itch on my nose.
Struggle right now.
Carolina had an advantage in takeaways, 11-6. All those advantages meant nothing. Meant
I was
nothing.
Just say, is there any point that you're getting
meant
to
nothing.
with these? Nope. Nothing.
No, they meant nothing. They're 1 for 5 on the power play. Carolina was 3 for 5. 60%. Bad. 4 points for Nietzsche. 3 for Svechnikov. 2 for Jarvis, Gostisbehere, and Roslovic. Holy fuck. An unmitigated disaster. And Kochetkov finishes the night with an .867 save percentage on the other side. Didn't really,
pretty gross.
Light the world on fire. Honestly, just dreadful. And I didn't even see the whole game, so I can't act like I did because I turned it off at times. But this season, they forget about guys in front of the net and leave them wide open or in the slot like it's their job. It's unbelievable. It's like nothing. It's so bad. Like sometimes it's on the power play, so they're trying to stay up higher a little bit, maybe block it. But sometimes you need to think like, oh, there's a guy behind me. Maybe I should lift a stick. Maybe I should pummel him. I don't know. It happens a lot. Yeah. There's a theme here. Roslovic's first goal. Marchand banks a 5-on-3 goal off Slavin and in. Cool, I guess. Svechnikov just chills behind Carlo and tips it in. Carlo, the culprit on a lot of these. Crazy bounces on a skyward stretch pass, sends Zadorov into a spin cycle, and Orlov jumps in and jumps on a loose puck, sends it deflected off of Jackson Blake sticking in. There's another one. Hampus Lindholm gets easily outmuscled right on the draw. Tic-tac-toe off of Brandon Carlo and in. That's not the first time someone banked one in off of Brandon Carlo in the past week. 3 goals in 52 seconds.
Pretty bad.
Pretty impressively bad.
Yeah.
Nice work by Pasta and Kostelik to set up Lindholm. Great shot. Didn't matter. Swayman makes the initial stop on the second Svechnikov goal. Can't make the follow-up save. Really need a save there. Haven't been impressed with Jeremy Swayman this year. It's tough, but I need to stop. Also, on the defensive side of things, Andrew Peeke has his stick facing the defensive blue line and not in the lane where the puck went. Have your that's the lane you need to protect.
Be ready.
You need to know better.
Yeah.
And I've been okay with Andrew Peeke. He's had a couple issues this year, but overall, I think he's been fine for a third pairing defenseman. That was bad.
Yeah, that's one of those guys you don't really not worry about, but like you kind of take what you get with him. So like it's one of those guys you're not gonna get overly pissed off about if he doesn't play well. You're not really gonna get overly. I mean, maybe you will get overly hyped up if he plays well, but you know what I mean. Like he is the least of their problems.
Yeah. Lowry gets absolutely bullied by Martinook behind the net. Roslovic scores out front. Swayman's done for the night. Sean Walker just coasts in and finds a puck that I'm sure Andrew Peak didn't intend to bat down right in a perfect position for Sean Walker. He scores. Trent Frederic gives him a little whack after the goal. He just gets laughed at, of course. I mean, it's 7-2 at this point. Why would you even entertain a scrap? Unless Trent Frederic lost his temper and just came right at you. Then Jesperi Kotkaniemi's nice one a few minutes later. I'm not going to put any blame on Korpisalo because like this game's just essentially a 6-2 loss with a couple goals that just don't even feel real because you're in a state of disillusionment at that point in the game. I'm sure a -3 showing, the only one on the team didn't really help Max Jones's standing once they signed Tyler Johnson, but what a brutal signing. He sucks completely. I do not want to see him called back up. I'm done. I'm done with that, and I'm glad the Bruins aren't too. Do you have any additional takeaways on this absolute abomination, travesty, clusterfuck of a hockey contest? That was hardly a hockey contest.
No, I do not.
Okay, I don't blame you. Philly, things turned around. Things turned around. You go to Philly, and you beat the bag out of the worst team in the NHL right now, which is still moderately surprising to me. 3-0. Korpisalo saves 20 shots, all 20. They outshoot him 31-20. No power play goals on 5 combined tries. Not a very exciting game in that regard in the special teams. Samuel Ersson left the game after making 8 saves. So Alexei Kolosov comes in. Really liked this shift from Matty Poitras on his goal. Pretty much facilitated the entire thing. That was impressive. Good to see. Been really effective, primarily at 5-on-5 for them. So that's good. It's impressive. He's going to go through his bumps and bruises. He gets bundled a lot. But he's 20, and he's not the biggest guy. That's going to happen. You take the lumps. You need to develop young players, and he is your top guy to develop, so you're going to continue to do so. Brazo blasts one home. Great. Love it. And Pastrnak bats in a deep empty netter to make it 3-0. I thought the defensive structure was better, more engaged. I liked the amount of block shots. I liked the stick plays. I think they were more engaged and more effective. And of course, that shows on the score sheet when you help your goalie to a 20 save shutout. Hopefully, a confidence booster for Korpisalo, who's continuing to improve and get more settled in, which is nice because the goalie you gave a ton of money really hasn't been super good and has over 3 goals against and like an 867 save percentage, which is bad. And is not stopping high danger scoring chances at a super good level. Right now, a negative level. This was nice to see.
Gonna ask you, do you really think he needs a confidence booster? Because I feel like the better goaltending has been with Korpisalo in net at times. Like he has been one of their more consistent, if not one of I just kind of said the same thing. The more consistent guys on this team and guy you can kind of rely on. Again, that's saying something with how bad the rest of the team's been. But I've been pleasantly, if there's anything to kind of hang your hat on, I've been pleasantly surprised with how decent Korpisalo has looked this season with, the doom and gloom that was coming into this year.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like it's in start great, and now he's finding consistency. So I don't know. Right now, without Swayman played, I would like Korpisalo to play against Calgary. Like
I wouldn't. I think I wouldn't hate seeing him in there a couple more times a week or a game or two. Just again, maybe it's a mental thing with Swayman. He just needs, I don't know if time off's the right word, but like give him a couple days here and there.
Broken record too. The whole contract thing really fucked him up. It's fucking him up. Yep. He is not making Jeremy Swayman saves as consistently as he has done in the past, and missing that much skating and line rushes and shots from your fucking teammates just to get you ready, get you back in the swing of things. That affects the goalie, and we are seeing it happen right now because he is so much better than this. They follow it up with back-to-back shutouts. This is the first time they've done it since 2008. Swayman shuts out 20. Huh?
Is it the turning a corner? Maybe.
Swayman turns it around. Great game here. Didn't last in the Toronto game, but 23 save shutout. Jack Edwards night, 33-23. They win. They were not losing on Jack Edwards night. That wasn't happening. 1 for 5 on the power play, 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. That makes up for a little bit. 63.3% on draws and 27-15 advantage in blocked shots. Keeping that structure up. Really like it. Really good. Not perfect, but pretty damn good. You'll take, 2 back-to-back shutouts. Progress. Big progress. Justin Brazeau scores his 4th goal in 6 games. Really like how Brazeau has responded since that healthy scratch. Really, really good stuff. Charlie Coyle played the best game of his season. Great battle along the wall with not Chris Tanev. They played Chris Tanev the next game. Brandon Tanev. Battle with each other. Gets it to the point. Boom, boom. Over to wait, hold on. Did I? No, this is on the okay. I was reading ahead. Yeah, so that helps set up the Brazeau goal because it goes tic-tac-toe over to Brazeau on the tip. And yeah, that was really good work by Coyle. Then he follows it up with the great puck work on that goal to keep that play alive, get it to the point with scoring one of his own. Just a really slick, filthy move to find the space, make the space rather, and paw one past Joey Decord. Really awesome game for him. Hope he can build on it. But we know the next game was rough for everyone pretty much. So good job limiting Seattle to shots in the first period too. Like at this point and probably a little longer, Seattle had no shots, so that was pretty sweet. Frederic gets an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for sticking up for his teammate on top of the fighting major. Don't really get the unsportsmanlike. Brandon Montour, 1 game into his cracking career against the Bruins, not able to pull any late game voodoo or bullshit. So that's good.
It's good to see. Yep.
So we saw that at times. Unfortunate. Nice to see that not happen. And nice for him to be in the Western Conference because he's a pain in the ass. David Pastrnak benched in this game for a turnover and poor effort in the 3rd period. Did not really respond too well with a big game in the Toronto game, but
he did.
Handled it well. Like, I guess it's all you can do when you know your importance to the team. David Pastrnak has 11 points, but he needs to be better. He has another dimension to his game. There's too much of this type of crap. I wonder how much this had been bubbling up or if it was that one incident isolated because he has shifts where he coasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Pastrnak. He that's a drawback for him for a little while now. It's been a little too consistent this year, but he has shifts where he coasts, where he skates slowly to the bench. Maybe that's because he's confident. Maybe that's because he's tired. Maybe that's because he's defeated. But
it's something you can get away with when you're winning, and they're not winning, and it's magnified more. Because the argument is always that it's Pastrnak, he's great, he's going to score 40 goals. Like you'll live with him having these fuck ups from time to time. And again, that comes with when you're winning all these games. But when you're losing and this is happening, and you're having discussions if the coach is the right guy daily, it seems like, and the team is just not performing as it should be. Like this is going to be something that's magnified more, 100%.
It needs to be fixed, and he doesn't have help around him right now. Like Lindholm isn't providing anything the last 7 games. Zacha has really just not been super productive. You have Coyle, working his way back, who doesn't play with Pasta a ton, but they need to establish an offensive identity bad. So that's going to help Pasta. And he's one of the guys on the other side that's going to have to help them do that. And he's put up a decent amount of points, but we know he can be more. We know, and we hope he doesn't have these passenger shifts.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe this was something bubbling up from Montgomery that he felt like he had to do. And they lost 4-0 at Toronto, and Pastrnak didn't really respond. So yeah, that was not great.
I was gonna say that was my takeaway. Is you've seen
and
something like this
playing good against them. So
true.
There's that too.
You've seen something like this happen twice with the Marchand situation earlier in the year, and they really didn't do anything a whole lot after that happened. And now you're seeing the Pastrnak situation happen. Like you said, whether it was handled well or not, you come out immediately after that and get shut out by a team that you usually play pretty well against, and a team you usually handle pretty well. I don't care how well they looked in the Seattle game and how well they looked in the Philadelphia game. Those are two teams you probably should be able to beat pretty handily. Maybe, Seattle not as much as Philadelphia, but to me, I still just think they are just not playing for Montgomery at this point. Like you've had two of these moments where he's tried to send a message to, your best players and you've come out and played
They're
flat
flat.
after it both times. Like I don't see how he lasts like again, everyone keeps saying until US Thanksgiving. Like I just it's not something is not working. The message is not getting through. And I don't care how many of these little wins you rattle off here. Like I still think a change needs to be made at some point because it's just more of the same stuff.
The leech factor too. It's always gonna lurk in the back of my head. No
True. Yep.
contract. Um, I don't know. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it looks like it might. I don't know. Ty Anderson made a good point though on his podcast. Like the Jacobs family has like anytime they're asked about like Sweeney or Monty's job security, they get like very defensive. So maybe they just don't want to. But maybe that can always change too. So,
True.
um, God, it's frustrating. This team can be so much more. And they're not. Bruins moved to 6-7-1 after this 4-0 loss last night. 23 saves on 26 shots for Swayman. They outshoot at least 29-27. Tyler Johnson's debut didn't really do much, which was kind of expected. Like he's been skating with the team, but like hasn't played an NHL game in the regular season in a while. It might take him a little bit of time, but I'm excited about the ad. I think he can add some depth scoring and experience, versatility, a little bit of face off, prowess. Played 13-51. Mason Lowry sits. Austin Matthews is out. Didn't matter. Regular season losing streak against the Bruins comes to an end at 8 games for the Leafs. And they were 3 for 7 on the power play. There are a few teams you want to let that happen to you against less than the Maple Leafs. Even without Austin Matthews,
Yep.
Bruins were 0-6. Power play is terrible. There's no simple fix. I don't know. Like Charlie McAvoy needs to get off the power play one. That's one thing I want. This team, they did this a lot last year too. There is not even close to enough emphasis to getting Pastrnak countless shots in his wheelhouse. It's overpassing. It's the perimeter, but you need perimeter passing. I'm not saying that's like you don't do that on the power play.
Go away from that, yeah.
And there's shots from the point that like don't get through. You're trying to sneak through traffic. Worked better in the past, doesn't work now. The best point man in general and sometimes on the power play has been Lindholm. Lindholm's been pretty good. Like I'm ready for Mason Lowry to get a trial on the top power play unit instead of McAvoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready for it now. So McAvoy needs to be better. He still takes dumb penalties. A lot of players on the team take dumb penalties. That continues to be an issue. You think they'd fix it? No, hasn't been the case. They out-hit the Leafs 32-19. They had a disadvantage in giveaways 14-9. Too many men for Toronto early. Bruins don't capitalize. Good omen. I thought the Pacioretty hit on Peach. I almost said Peaches. I thought that was clean. It just looked awkward, and Pete got hurt. I don't know what his status is right now, but it looked like something shoulder related. He was down. Only played 4:49 in the game. Tanev goes off for roughing and boarding on Pasta. Marchand was all over him. Like to see that, but I forget who said this on Twitter. Like, you get bigger and stronger, and not that's not to say all these guys are like gonna be on the ice or at this time or go after Tanev whenever they can. But like, you got this big team now. That was a big, change of the identity of the team that doesn't have an identity right now. And you have Marchand, your undersized, scrappy forward going after him, partially because he's on the ice. But like, I don't know. This team needs an overall like aura of toughness. They have the players, they don't have the execution. Zadorov does nothing. Brazeau's big, but you don't rely on him to do stuff like that. He's also scoring goals, so that fucking works. Trent Frederic is useless right now. He's just not earning a contract, but he's earning trade interest. Maybe that's just his agent leaking that. But to get some contract negotiations fired up. But like, why the fuck would Sweeney want to sign him right now?
You're right.
Because he sucks. Peak can hit and fight, but he gets hurt in this game. You're not going to rely on him. They just like, you sacrifice speed and skill for toughness a little bit, and your team has no toughness. They have no one's afraid of this team.
No, there's no fear being struck across
And that
across
also,
the league at all.
that hurts the team when you sacrifice the idea of potentially adding a scoring winger, no matter who that would have been, for adding a guy like Zadorov, who was in ways a luxury ad. You could have gotten away with Lindholm, Lowry, Wotherspoon on the left side. Maybe you sign a cheaper defenseman to play and have Wotherspoon as a seventh defenseman. I don't know. And it's hurting you. Like, Jake DeBrusk isn't lighting the world on fire in Vancouver, and I'm okay with letting him go. But you lose him, you lose Heine, you lose JVR, and you didn't replace them. You signed two guys in Jones and Tufte who are now in Providence. You didn't see enough from Fabian Lysell / didn't want to give him the roster spot. You have Tyler Johnson, who's played one game. If Justin Brazeau providing some depth scoring, Morgan Geeky's done dog fucking shit.
Yeah.
And Coyle, like, just now had his best game of the season, so you hope he can start turning a corner. But nobody really played good in this game. Truly, it was really bad, and I hated it. The Zadorov penalty on Pacioretty was kind of odd. The extra cross checks weren't really necessary, but Swayman like loses it or mistakenly gives it away, and Zadorov is in the mindset, oh, I can toss Pacioretty because the whistle's going to blow. I'm not going to get a penalty. He gets a penalty. Awkward situation. Riley sends one home through an easy screen, an easy shot. Sick penalty kill. Nylander banks one off of Carlo. Here's the second part of that theme. Team's just banking goals in off Carlo this year. Might have been like the third or fourth on the year, maybe fifth. I have no idea. I feel like anyone that happens to on the Bruins defense is like always Carlo. Lindholm and Carlo just forget about Matthew Nyes. That's a tipping goal, and then Lawrence scores the empty netter. Forgetting about players again. Hey, maybe just one of them roughs the guy up in front of the net instead of playing a little higher and trying to block the shot or get a stick in the lane or cover someone else. I don't know. I don't like leaving guys in front of the fucking goalie uncontested anymore because it's leading to goals almost every time on the power play. Stop fucking doing it.
Yeah, it's not great.
But bad.
Nothing else to add.
This fucking team is frustrating as shit. It sucks, but Calgary, luckily in the division too, you have a lot of teams in your bracket that are pretty close. It's early in the season. Like Toronto isn't lighting it up. Ottawa isn't lighting it up. Like, there are points to be had. Tampa isn't lighting it up. You just got to start winning sooner rather than later. It's that simple. Calgary 7-5-1. You got them tomorrow at home. Rasmus Anderson leads them in scoring from the back end with 11 points in 13 games. They're fourth in the Pacific. Ottawa, the return of Linus Ullmark to Boston on the 9th. They are 6-6, 12 points. Fifth in the Atlantic, Timmy Stützle is tearing it up, 17 points in 12 games, looking pretty good. They're decent. Should be a decent game, divisional matchup. Then you got St. Louis, who were in the news last night because Dylan Holloway took a puck to the neck, played the rest of the shift, and then had to be stretchered off the ice on the bench. And he wants to play Thursday. Takes a puck to the neck, has to go to the hospital, wants to play tomorrow. Psycho. Glad he's somewhat okay. I don't know what he's still doing to rehab that at all. I imagine something. But glad he's okay because that's fucking terrifying. To take a puck to the neck hurts a lot, I would imagine.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah, you would think. One might. The Blues are right in the bracket we've expected them, maybe a little lower if you're lower on the team. They're 7-6, fourth in the Central. Jordan Kyrou has 11 points in 13 games to lead them. Ryan, I've said a lot about what I want. You have as well. Would you like to expound on anything before we switch to Red Sox?
Not really, because we can say as much as we'd like, as much as we want to say it, but until something changes in some sort of, I don't know, not massive shakeup, but I don't know. Until something changes, like we just have to wait and see. Obviously, it's all the cliche stuff, but like again, I'm just after what we've seen so far these last couple of weeks, these little blow ups and these little moments. Like I guess um I like Montgomery trying to send a message with, going after, not going after, but you know what I mean? Like setting an example with two of your better players. This isn't a Cassidy thing where, you're benching a fourth line 22-year-old or something like that, or you're going off to the young guys. This is, your two superstar players that Montgomery has challenged these last couple weeks. And again, the fact that it just has not really rung any bells with this team or set off any alarms. I still think they're just coasting by with him right now. They're just kind of going out there and they're not really playing for him. They're just playing with him or playing under him. So I don't know. Like again, I'm more so waiting for the day that we get the news that Montgomery's gone than expecting this Bruins team to turn anything around anytime soon. Because like you've talked about, I said it on the last week's show. You said it on this one. Their problems are not an overnight fix. Like this isn't something where like okay, the power play is struggling, but everything else is rolling. Like you'll figure it out. Everything is broken right now. Nothing is going right. Like you said, they're starting to maybe make some moves that you can get behind, getting rid of some of these lesser players and finally bringing in Johnson to see if that gives them a little bit of a spark. But to me, I think the spark comes with, the eye-opening move of someone has to, it sucks. Obviously, you never want to see somebody lose their job, but to say somebody has to lose their job for this team to wake up, it's kind of in a shitty spot right now.
You're right, man. It's just like it's easy to understand, but it's like confusing to understand because this team could be better.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing too, like look what's happening with the fourth line not scoring at scorching pace for a fourth line. They're not quite doing that anymore.
Yep.
And it's hurting. That
Crazy,
shouldn't be
crazy
an
to think.
issue.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be an issue. But
Damn, you can't
you
count on the
wanted to
fourth
add a
line anymore? What
defenseman.
do you mean?
You wanted to add a defenseman instead that is not helping you. He is hurting you. And giving me nightmares to how he played in years past, which was a concern of me for signing him.
Mm-hmm.
He has not been the menacing 6'6" Russian defenseman at all, and that needs to change quite fast. And hey, the center, Lance Lindholm, ain't doing shit neither.
No, he's
Better
cooled
start
off
to the year
tremendously.
than the last few, like 7 games. Just something needs to be like seriously established here, and I just don't know if that happens under Montgomery. Still feel that way.
Oh.
Might be Jay Leach time, and with full ownership, maybe he can fully fix the power play because he is a guy that has been noted for power play expertise in the past. But he's also on the staff that power play is not doing good with. So how much can he really fix if he takes over? I don't know. Any thoughts on teams interested in trading for Frederic too? I kind of feel like this is an Elaine Waugh news drop to kind of get the ball going too. Maybe there is interest too. At this point, I'm down for trading Frederic.
Yeah.
Because I'm not down for like giving him more money than I'm comfortable with and having to deal with this type of shit anymore. I'd rather just find a team that values him and get picks or get like a pick in some sort of young player that can help you.
Oh, well, if this season goes south, I think you almost have to. Like, that'd be
Then you also
inexcusable to
have
not
the
make that
aspect of
move.
him not playing good, so his value is low. So
Yep.
that's the shit sandwich you're in right now. I don't know. I think they would wait to trade Frederic around the deadline unless that's the guy they want to move as a shakeup, especially if he starts playing better. I don't know. If anything, that's like a January trade, not like a trade right now if it doesn't happen at the deadline. But right now, I'm not comfortable signing him to an extension. I'm certainly not comfortable signing Geeky.
God, no.
Either.
I was going to ask you that. They still barking up that tree that they want to extend Geeky, the guy that I don't even know if he's done anything this season. He's got to have what,
like an assist or
2
two
points
in the past week, but he probably has like 4 points total in the season. It's bad.
Nice.
But yeah, that's hockey, frustrating hockey. We'll see what happens. With some hopefully winnable games coming up, but you really never know right now. It's a weird spot to be in. The Yankees lost the World Series. That's good, and they lost in epic fashion. It was
we could
great.
go today. We could go tonight.
Today.
That happened. We may have jumped the gun a little bit. I think they were up 5-0 at the time we were doing the recording. I said, maybe they have a little bit of life. Maybe give credit where credit's due, and all that credit was completely flushed down the toilet with, as you said, one epically horrendous and hilarious. Horrendous on one side of it, hilarious if you're on the other side like you and I were. To watch that inning unfold and just all these big time Yankees, your MVP Forgets how to catch a ball in center field right to him. Your Cy Young that did the dorkiest thing I've ever seen and opt out of a whatever his option was for I think it was $36 million to sign the exact same contract he signed a couple years ago. I think it was like 4 and 144. Complete clown move from Garrett Cole. Um, to follow up a clown move of not covering first base. Like that is the first thing you do in spring training. If it's the Yankees, that's the first thing I would do in spring training this upcoming year is work on pitchers covering first base. Because for him not to do that is just it's lazy, it's inexcusable, and it quite literally cost the Yankees the game. You have that, the premier young shortstop that is having a great playoff and is looking like the next big thing makes an idiotic throw to third base, which costs you a run. Catcher's interference cost you late down. So like everything that could have gone wrong for the Yankees went wrong in that inning and in that game, and it was glorious to watch that happen. And good to see the Dodgers, overcome some stuff, a tough start in that game to win that series. Again, just can't be happy enough for it because the better team won. The team that deserved to win won. Shohei didn't have a great World Series, but the Dodgers star players stepped up when they needed to. Freeman stepped up. Their bullpen had great moments. Walker Buehler coming out of the bullpen in the clinching game.
Didn't.
Max Muncy, who you do not like. You are not high on Max Muncy. He was not very good. But yeah, the Dodgers, they stepped up when they needed to, and the Yankees, in typical Yankee fashion, some of the biggest chokers in the history of baseball. I don't think it's too crazy to say you blow a 5-0 lead in a game you got to win. Obviously, you know what happened in 04. Like, that's in the Yankees' DNA. Doesn't matter what the team is, who's on it. Just epic and hilarious to watch that unfold as it did.
It really was. And, the good thing for me is once they got up in that game, I had no doubt. I knew my bet was going to win, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, got a little interesting late, and they didn't do it. And Verdugo strikes out.
That's the other thing too. I texted you when it happened. I'm like, I need them to Machado Verdugo, and it would be the just icing on the cake. Because I mean, the start of the game, it was the way it happened was great. You had Judge pretty much lead the game off with a home run, and you're like, all right. Everyone said it like, oh, here we go. Aaron Judge is gonna get hot. The Yankees are gonna, they're gonna roll. They're gonna win this game. And then again, for it to all come crashing down, and again,
the home run for Judge.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
How fitting.
He homers and then does nothing the rest of the game except make a huge error. Like you said, Verdugo, watching him strike out on, what was it, 3 pitches, I think, or 4 pitches, give one of the most uncompetitive at-bats you'll see in a World Series.
That just makes sense, too.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll throw 3 swings out there and be done. Like that, again, just absolutely perfect how that went down and couldn't be happier.
Couldn't either. It's great. Oh, so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So perfect.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the World Series. Again, not going to spend too much time on it because it happened, like you said, a week ago. So we're kind of late to the party here, but it is what it is. Give credit where credit's due. We're celebrating Yankee Elimination Day a week later. Other than that, nothing really going on too crazy. Baseball, I think free agency officially opened up on Monday, but nothing has really happened. You've seen qualifying offers go out. You've seen the Red Sox been involved in some hardware. Willie Abreu, I think, on Sunday night, because the Gold Gloves, I don't know if you knew that, randomly got announced on Sunday night at like 9 o'clock. I
didn't know Willie Abreu got won some hardware until I looked at the outline. So
today or a couple days ago, whenever you opened it up. Okay, well that's the thing. I think I was watching the Penguins Sunday night, and I just saw it pop up on my phone. I'm like, oh, it's 9:45, and Gold Glove awards are getting announced, and Willie Abreu happened to win one. So good for him.
Watching a hockey game over the Gold Gloves, like, come on, dude.
No, the Penguin, the Batman show. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Didn't pick up on that. But yeah, good for him. Won a Gold Glove. I think rightfully deserved. Played one of the hardest, if not the hardest, right field in all of baseball, and was pretty good all season long. It was announced, I think, yesterday or maybe Monday that Jarren Duran and Rafael Devers are both up for Silver Slugger awards. I can't imagine. I don't know who's. I have to assume Devers is running against Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, so I can't imagine Devers is going to win it. I have to think Duran probably has a better shot of winning it than Devers does, especially when Devers missed the last month and a half of the season. So nothing against him, but just don't think that's going to be the case. And then the big Red Sox news, of course, surprisingly to a lot of people, they did extend a $21 million qualifying offer to Nick Pivetta, declined to do so to outfielder Tyler O'Neill, and I believe Chris Martin was up for one as well. He gets declined as well. Some other names that got the qualifying offer, big names, of course, Juan Soto, as we know, Corbin Burns, Alex Bregman, Max Fried, Willie Adames, Pete Alonso, Anthony Santander, Teoscar Hernandez, Christian Watson, Christian Walker, excuse me, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Sean Manaea and Luis Severino, both of the Mets, and Nick Martinez, a surprise one, had a good season pitching for the Cincinnati Reds. Your thoughts on the Pivetta deal? Because this one, like I said, caught a lot of people by surprise. This was from Tim Britton of The Athletic. He said predicts if Pivetta declines the $21 million qualifying offer, he predicts him to get a 3-year, $48 million deal on the open market. So as I said to you when I saw this come down, if Nick Pivetta declines $21 million for a year, he might be the dumbest player in baseball.
Yeah, it's open and shut like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I
does
mean,
anyone sign him, you think? Like,
I'm
and
sure
trade
somebody
him away?
signs him, but like not anywhere close to $21 million a year. Like unless
Yeah.
people think, I think the last couple of days,
Or
GMs
do
and
teams
people.
go like, hey, like, we're not going to match that, so what's the point? Is that
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean,
thing, you think, in anyone's
yeah,
minds?
because I mean, if somebody signs him, they have to give up. I think it's a second round pick for him, or they have to give up draft compensation. So that's another reason why nobody like. I don't understand why the Red Sox think anybody would sign Pivetta for either that amount of money or to give up. And a lot of people I've seen have been like, "Oh, the Red Sox must know something we don't about the pitching market this upcoming offseason." Um, but again, if you have somebody who's writing for the Athletic who thinks Pivetta is going to get what is that, 16 million a year, and you offer him 21 million for 1 year, like I don't see the need to do that. I don't see the desire. Like, I'm not saying I would have offered like O'Neill the qualifying offer over Pivetta. Like, I wouldn't have given any one of these guys a qualifying offer. Tyler O'Neill's not worth $21 million for a year. Pivetta definitely isn't. Nothing against him, but like, I don't know what they're doing. Again, maybe they know something about the market that we don't.
Mm.
Obviously not tapped in, boots on the ground or anything like that. But that was surprising to see. Obviously Pivetta loves pitching here, so he very easily could just take the 1 year deal just to again kind of give himself a prove it situation. Uh, but again, I don't know why, unless you just want to really, like I said to you the other day, unless the Dodgers come calling with a super cheap option and he knows, hey, I got a chance to go win a World Series with this team right away, like why you wouldn't come back to the Red Sox for 21 million for a year.
Yeah, it makes too much sense to stay here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
staying here makes a lot of sense.
Any surprise that they
Um,
didn't give O'Neill, or were you kind of on board? If
no,
you no
not
nothing,
really.
okay. That was kind of the
Um,
consensus I saw from a lot. Again, I don't think anybody was gonna want to give him or didn't or wanted to give him that. I did see today, either today or yesterday, they've already been in contact with Scott Boras about potentially bringing him back. Is he a guy you would? What are your thoughts on? Obviously, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on free agency because there really isn't a lot to go off of yet. Nobody has obviously signed or any big deals have not gone down. But Tyler O'Neill, is he a guy you'd look to bring back, or would you look to pivot maybe somewhere else? Teoscar Hernandez's name obviously has come up again after
I'm
the Red
taking him
Sox.
over Hernandez.
You're taking O'Neill over Hernandez,
I think
or vice
you
versa?
should have, if you wanted Hernandez, you should have just signed him last year.
True. Now you have the chance to
I,
do it again
I
this
I'm
year,
kind of
though.
over. I'm kind of over that. Like, he's a year older, struggled at points in the postseason.
But you
Like,
now have to give up draft compensation for him. He's not free
yeah,
like he
fuck
was last
that.
year.
Like, it would be Red Sox in a way, like if they did do that. But I don't know. I'd rather have O'Neill. One thing I wanted to ask you about too, and feel free to get to anything on O'Neill beforehand, but like the whole Casas thing, they kind of like, we're not getting rid of Casas. Like, he can hit 40 home runs, like it's a big part of our team, all that yada yada type of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously they're not gonna be like, yeah, we're planning on trading Tristan Casas, but like your thoughts on that as well.
I'm fine with it. I really am. Like, you don't really have anything. I don't know. Blaze Jordan, I don't think is
I'm
anywhere
very
close.
cool with not trading Casas, by the way. I
Yeah,
want to
like you
make
don't
that
have
clear
anything else
too.
that unless you. I've seen people. I had this
Like,
conversation with my or discussion with my grandfather the other day where people have kind of said the same thing of like in a couple of years you're probably gonna have to move Devers off of third base, now whether that's to first base or you DH him. Like maybe then that opens up a Casas trade situation, but like right now, I'm not looking to trade him. He's when healthy, one of your better hitters, one of your more, fearsome presences in the lineup. Like unless you're getting blown away, because I don't think it would take Casas to get Garrett Crochet or anything like that, because his name has come up these last couple of days. Um, I'd keep Casas for a year. Now, if the contract stuff continues and he's a pain in the ass about that, about signing an extension and wants too much money, then I think a year or two down the line you might
yeah,
look to move on from him. But right now, like I wouldn't. Again, unless you're getting absolutely blown away by teams, I wouldn't even entertain a deal or him or even look to shop him.
yeah. Like, I think people have mentioned too, like the whole Mariners angle too, with him getting one of their pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fair. But I don't know. I don't think they should be in a rush
No,
to
God,
trade
no.
Casas.
Absolutely
But
not.
yeah, I don't know. I thought that was cool to see Breslow come out and say what he said about that. So
Yeah, shut that down pretty quickly. That was good to see. The other thing too, I forgot to mention on the qualified free agents list because it kind of, me personally, like again, I'll believe the Red Sox talk if we want to improve the pitching and we're going to be all in and stuff
we're
like
gonna
that.
spend. They said the same
Exactly,
shit
I'll
last
believe it
year.
when I see it. I think the guys who got qualifying offers, I think you're already starting to see some guys the Red Sox are not going to be linked to. Corbin Burns getting one. I think you can kiss him goodbye. They're not going to give up draft compensation to sign him. Max Fried, a guy that I think well, you might have been in on wanting them to get Max Fried.
Yeah.
I think he's as good as gone as well. Like any of these guys with qualifying offers, I've seen people, make the Bregman case if you bring him in for third base and
No.
that moves Devers to DH. Um, it's a
No.
possibility. I don't see it happening. I don't want it to happen. Um, but some of those guys, any of the qualifying names, Adames was another one that came up that I just don't think makes sense for the people that want Willie Adames. Like you already have a shortstop, you have a second baseman that's
He
probably
said
going
he's
to be
willing to like
here.
change positions though, right? Didn't he say that today? I think.
Yeah, but
Like, would he go to like the outfield? You don't need him for the outfield.
no,
Like,
you'd move him. I was just gonna say you'd
or
probably
move
either
him to
move him to
second.
second base or you move
Yeah.
Story to second base and then create a logjam for when Christian Campbell's probably here
No,
by the
like
end of the year. Like,
leave the interior, leave the middle infields, and improve the pitching and
yeah, it was. I was just gonna
worry
say
about like a guy like O'Neill.
if Christian Campbell's as good as everyone says he is, and people think he's gonna be here again by maybe the end of next year, or there's some people I saw that even think like he could make a case if he has a good spring training for maybe this year if they're second base. Like you should be able to get away with again, they're lackluster players, but like you should be able to get away with a David Hamilton, and if Vaughn Grissom figures it out even slightly, like you can platoon them for a year if you really, blossom your prospects. And then again, too, you got Mayer coming up, so I still think you potentially either make him a second baseman or you transition a Story back to second base, and Mayer's your starting shortstop. Like they have options. They
Yeah,
Rafaela could play second base if you need him to, and you throw a couple of guys in the outfield or you mix and match your outfield. Like
right.
it's not a big concern or anything like that. So like that's
Yeah,
why
there's
the
options.
Adamas move never made any sense to me unless like you DH him, which you're not going to do.
So was like Blake Snell a target for the Sox
Perhaps,
now?
yeah, not a
Like,
you didn't get
is that your
qualified.
big fish? Like, is that the big fish? Like, do you even like? Do you think they're gonna pony up for Crochet? Like, yes or no? I need a yes or no right now. Like, if you had to give me an answer right now, like, would you say like they're in like the final two teams? They're heavily in the mix or not?
I'd say no because I think you're going to have to give up one of the big four to do so, and I don't think they're going to do that. Like
Yeah, I don't
they're
know.
not going to move Campbell. They're not going to move Meyer. Teal is definitely not getting moved, and I think out of the four of them, like Roman Anthony might be the most expendable, but I wouldn't move him. Like
I would be devastated if they traded Roman Anthony
right? Yeah, it wouldn't
completely. Yeah,
like I
he's so good.
with how much they've talked those like to the point where it's gotten corny, like the big four. And again, like I said it last year when it happened, you decided to call up all three of your top prospects at the same time just to keep that group together. Like I thought that was super corny and super dumb. Like as much as they've talked those guys up, and again, you throw Campbell into that as well to make it the big four. I don't think they can do all the talk they want about wanting to trade guys. They're not going to do it. Again, until I'm proven otherwise, and I see differently. Like I think they're gonna look for lesser deals from a trade standpoint. Maybe I saw some people say they might look to trade more off of the major league roster than their prospects. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't hate that. I think anybody outside of like obvious guys like Devers's, Casas's, Duran's, like those guys are expendable. The other guys, I mean, not the three guys I just mentioned. Like
yeah,
I would look to trade off the major league roster before I look to pony up any of your big prospects. And that obviously means you're not going to get as much as you would giving one of those guys away. But I'd look to do that. And I'd look to maybe again open up your purses and spend some money this season or this offseason
yeah,
instead of bringing in the 35th best pitching option and a couple of
yeah.
other minor guys that you wouldn't think anybody would sign.
I'm just worried about like with guys being given qualifying offers, they're going to use that as an excuse to be like, oh, like the options weren't there that we wanted
Absolutely.
on the
Yep.
pitching market.
Absolutely.
Like,
We
and
didn't want to
hey,
give up draft compensation for this guy or
like at the same time, maybe with a different team, I feel this way. Like with all the good draft picks you hit on, out, you really haven't homegrown pitchers anything crazy lately. Like you're seeing the fruits you label with like Bayo and Hauk, but like you're not like churning them out. Like maybe you're okay with giving up a draft pick
mm-hmm.
as compensation if it gets you freed, but with the way the Red Sox typically operate, I'm not counting on that. So
God no. Nope. I'm right there with you.
nope. Um, let's pivot to Celtics. Grant Williams just body checked Jason Tatum and tried to play it off, and that was just purely intentional.
Well, did you see the second night? It didn't stop there. I was watching the end of the second Charlotte game, and there was he scored a meaningless like layup dunk at the end of the game. When I think the Celtics kind of lost him off an inbound play. Didn't really care at that point because they were up so much. And as Derek White went to grab the ball to inbound it and get the play going, he like tried to not hip check, but like backed himself into White and then fell down as White's grab. You could see Derek White being like, "Dude, what is your fucking problem?" Like,
I wonder why people hate Grant Williams. It's a
right?
fucking Scooby Doo mystery.
Like that's my takeaway. Is like, yeah, Grant Williams was good when he had his moments when he was here, but like watching him play elsewhere and just kind of seeing him from the outside, you're like, man,
He's
it
kind of
kind of
hope the
makes you
guy
wonder,
gets
like,
traded to
how
the
did you ever
Wizards.
root for a guy like that?
Can he get traded to the Wizards, please, or the Trailblazers?
Well, I mean, Charlotte's a pretty good death sentence for a guy like Grant Williams. So
Yeah, but they've got something going for them.
true,
Once they get Mark
that's true.
Williams
They got a little
back,
bit of
that'll
talent.
help.
Yeah.
He's been out for I saw almost a year now.
Hmm.
They've got pieces somewhat.
Yeah.
They've got a Celtics disciple in Charles Lee coaching the team now.
Hmm.
So they've got something.
There was
They're not a contender, but they got something.
no, that's true.
Building.
There was
slowly,
one, I can't remember who it was that I saw, or somebody said it. Where do you feel bad for Grant Williams? Because like I don't know if you saw. Well,
No,
I was gonna ask. The reason I ask is because he had a comment at the end of either the first or the second game where like he was asked about like hanging out with obviously his former teammates and his buddies, and he basically was like, "Yeah, no one has really been in contact with me. Like I ordered food for the guys to come over." So like he's like that person that like wants to be the cool kid or like be with the cool group.
Or like keep in
Just
touch.
yeah, exactly. So like
Dude, you just
it is an interesting thing. Like, do you feel bad for the guy? Like, oh, he's
no.
trying, but like pulling stuff like that and just being like the idiot that he is and the dork that
Maybe
he
a
is.
little bit
It's
if he
like,
didn't try to fucking hurt Jason Tatum.
yeah, again, like that. He can argue. And,
that was kind of like the last straw for me. I'm like, nah, fuck this dude fully now. Like, I
yeah.
didn't really like him in the past. Then he did that, and I'm like, fuck this guy.
Well, I mean, there were rumblings and rumors that when he was here, obviously there were some guys that didn't like him. I think after the game, what
Deuce
Jaylen
didn't
Brown
like him.
said. What's up?
Deuce didn't like him.
Deuce definitely didn't like him. He left him hanging. But I think during the game, Brown said it was kind of going at him, and then after the game, Brown basically was like, "Yeah, I thought that was Jason Tatum's boy, but I guess not." Like Jaylen Brown's one of the players that I feel like could not stand Grant when he was here. No chance. Like, and that's just who Jaylen Brown is. Like he has said it before, he just doesn't give a shit, which is awesome, and you appreciate for Jaylen Brown. But like that was kind of funny to see him basically be like, "Yeah, I thought they were cool, but I guess not." Like, read between the lines there. I don't think Grant and JB were the best of friends when they were here together.
No. But speaking of Jaylen Brown,
Yep, good
I did want to
segue.
get to this quote first. Joe Mazzulla on the conversations he's had with Jaylen Brown about his injured hip. We both kind of mumble when we talk. Did Jaylen mumble at all about the hip? Couldn't understand him. Does he have a sense of whether it'll linger, the mumbling, or the injury? Both.
It's typical
I
Joe
was like,
Mazzulla right there.
so once like me and some friends were talking about the whole Kerr and Tatum thing with the Olympics, and I was like, what does Joe Mazzulla say like after the game in response to that or before the game if it's brought up? And then we just get the whole lingering mumble thing instead, and maybe we get something after the game. I was like, we have to get a good Joe Mazzulla quote out of this day, and I figured it'd come in some relation to the Tatum thing, whether it's like some sort of crazy comment at Kerr with like related to like lions or something, or like some sort of like wild animals.
Yeah,
or like he'll just like be like, oh, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, I don't know, like, like he's the best. But
he's
what's not the best
psycho.
is the Jaylen Brown situation right now with the hip injury.
Yeah, what are your concerns with him? Because obviously he's been out the last, I believe, 3 games now with the Golden State game tonight with the hip flexor strain that apparently has been lingering since the preseason. I heard Chris Forsberg say the other day. I can't remember who he was on the radio with, but basically said, and Missoula backed this up to it, and he said something that's been lingering for a while. But yeah, that was kind of interesting to hear Forsberg say that, it's something that has flared up, or flared up at times in the preseason. Hadn't really reared its ugly head until that second Atlanta game. You could kind of tell, or the first one of the Charlotte games. Obviously didn't play one of them, so I want to say I'd be concerned because obviously this is a big part of your team and a big player, and you're obviously down Porzingis to begin with. But with the depth this team has, and as well, they've played spotty at times tonight, having the game on in the background, watching it. They're back and forth with a surprisingly good Warriors team. it's an injury. You're always concerned when any one of your players gets hurt or is dealing with an injury. But as of right now, the way they've looked, the depth they've had, Pritchard's looking like right now is the betting favorite for sixth man of the year. Jordan Walsh is giving you good
Hell,
minutes at
plus
times,
6,000. Why didn't I put like $5 on it?
right?
I talked myself out of futures because I don't like waiting. I fucking should have plus 6,000.
I know, right? Yeah, if I knew it was those odds, I would have definitely went in with you on that.
You
But
did.
yeah,
We talked about it on the show.
we did, and we just never, followed through with it.
Fuck.
Um, but yeah, like I don't know, I'm not overly concerned. Like if this is something that lingers throughout the season, then yeah, you have more reason to be concerned. But right now, again, the way they're going, they haven't really needed it. Tonight. They could use them, um, but they haven't really needed them. And again, if they're going to continue to play like this, and you're going to get contributions off the bench like they have, like you keep Brown out as long as you need. And it seems like
Yeah.
again, listening to Forsberg today on the radio, seems to think like Brown, if it was a playoff game or a huge game, he would be able to play. I feel like they're kind of just keeping him out now for precautionary reasons. Like I'm fine with that. You keep him out as long as you need to. Um, so I'm not overly concerned with this until you have reason to be concerned. I don't know if you feel the same way. If you're more on the timid side of this is something that might, if it continues to creep up, might worry a little bit.
Yeah, you had a section for my thoughts and I deleted it the LM because I'm pretty much in the same boat. Like we don't know the full severity of it right now. They have so much depth. Like it's you're also in the right too. Like they could definitely use them tonight. They're struggling a little bit with the Warriors, but like I don't know. I gotta wait till like hear more. It's just not
Yeah,
that
I
huge of a
mean,
concern to me. This team's so fucking good.
I thought I saw he was supposed to go for a second MRI today, and I haven't seen anything if there was anything new that came out from that, or if he even went for it, or if anything has been released about it. But again, too, the fact that you really haven't heard anything else about it, like there hasn't been any change or anything, it really hasn't gotten worse from what you've seen or maybe heard. Like I think that's a positive too. Again, I took the big takeaway for me again today was listening to Forsberg on the radio and basically say that he could play if they needed him to. Like I'm
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like again, and I'm cool as long as you need to hold him out for. If you continue to not even tread water because that's not the right word for it, but you know what I mean. Like you continue to beat teams the way they've been beating teams, and you don't need them. Like I'm fine with Pritchard getting more minutes. Kate has given you good minutes as a starter these last couple games, so you're perfectly fine with Brown sitting out a little more extended time than he may need to or may want to.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I can't act like I'm super worried about it right now, so I won't.
No,
One of those things.
nope.
Not something I'm saying for the first time. Not something I'll say for the last time today. It's just some situations are just kind of like that. So,
Correct.
yeah, we'll see if they come back. I've been considering live betting them, but I've held off. But we'll see what happens. This is a game where I feel like they can certainly pull Celtics magic.
Mm-hmm.
Any closing thoughts?
No, just keep going as they've been going. The Bruins need to obviously figure some things out. And the Patriots, we don't have a whole lot of hope for them. Maybe they'll give us a competitive game again. And again, maybe Drake May will get some help this week.
Yes, things can be better. Let's hope they will be. Thank you so much for listening, new and old listeners. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Twitch, YouTube, Podbean, Podchaser. You can rate, review, comment, like, all that good stuff. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio, and the show at Salvaggio and Cratty Pod. We've been streaming on YouTube and Twitch too. If you're listening after the fact, so if you want to listen live in the future, you can do that. Yeah, we're on TikTok as well, Salvaggio and Cratty in the search bar. We will see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, be nice.